Nothing here is black and white. Nothing here is black and
Hey guys, how we doing? All good? Pretty week off to a good start. Norm, how you doing, mate? Good to see you. What else we got in here tonight? Good stuff, good stuff. Alright. Let's see, let's get going. Let's get quite a bit to cover this evening. Let's get cracking. Get that music off in the background. Yeah, looking good. Let's check that out. Yeah, nice, okay. Let's see, so what we got on today then? So, a little bit to cover today. Welcome. If it's your first time here, we do stream every couple of weeks. Usually a couple of hours, 2 or 3 hours, something like that. Just go over a couple of bits of news and any like latest releases. Really, when I say news, I mean it's really more if there's any kind of products that have come out. Mainly lighting, nerding out on lighting kit. Obviously there's a lot coming out at the moment with LEDs and that sort of stuff, so there's always plenty to have a look at. Yes, we go over a couple of bits like that, and then we usually cover a topic. So this week we're going to be looking at the Set.a.light 3D from Elixir software, which is a 3D kind of lighting setup, lighting design software, and software that I've been using since like version 1 in 2015. So I've been using it a long time. Yeah, since the very beginning. They've just recently released version 3, and kind of wanted to have a look at some of the changes, right? Some of the updates. What's new? There is a bunch to cover, and any of you guys who've been following for a while, you absolutely will have seen me using this software in the past. I mean, it's been over 10 years, right? So literally my entire website is littered with lighting diagrams from that software. All the 3D diagrams that you've ever seen from me have all come from Set.a.light 3D. So very powerful tool. Absolutely love it. Use it before every single shoot, and I'll go over some examples of that and other bits and pieces that I use it for, and what the newer version offers as well. So go over that. And then we also tend to have a look at the share a shoot. So we do a share a shoot every live stream as well, which essentially means you guys share your images, and then I kind of go through them and take a look, right? You know, we all take a look. If there's anything, any areas that I think, look, maybe you could try doing this differently. What about this? What about that? And so, you know, feedback and that sort of stuff is, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to be dressing anybody down live on stream or anything like that. Like I said, it's really more about offering alternatives, right? You know, maybe raise the light here, maybe, you know, pose down here, or add that color there and that sort of stuff. So kind of a tactical approach to feedback when it comes to CC. So let me just have a look. Bring this up here. Got stragglers coming in. Steve, how you doing, mate? Glad you can make it. Hope you're doing well. Robert, how you doing, buddy? How you doing? Good to see you. Let's bring this across here. Yep. Okay, looking good. Let me just squeeze this over. Bring this up here. Cool. Okay. Yeah. So if you wanted to take part in the share a shoot, share an image, I know not many of us use Facebook anymore, and like Facebook kind of makes it very, very difficult for us to use it now as well. Like they keep emailing me going, we're going to suspend your page, won't give me any reason why. We're not sharing your page to anybody, you know, you in breach of in breach of our standards. I'm like, please tell me what it is that I'm doing. I haven't changed anything. I'm not pushing any boundaries that I haven't done for the last decade. Like, tell me what it is. So yeah, Facebook's I think Facebook is mainly being run by AI now, and I'm not just being facetious. Like, I'm genuinely, like, the people behind closed doors is just bots, and I think they're they seem to be weirdly confused about certain images, like even an image like this, right? Because because the crazy colors, they kind of struggle to work it out, and so Facebook's in a weird spot at the moment, but it's very easy for us to share images, right? So that's what we use. So if you wanted to share a shot, you can do so in here. I'll pop a link in the chat there. Just head over there, and then I'll take you to this page. And then in the comments here, we can look at what people have posted. Some nice, bright, and colourful stuff. Nice, Vlad. Nice. Look at that. That's good stuff. Self-portrait, like it. Tony. Oh, good to see Tony stuff. Oh, this is cool, Robin. This is cool. And hey, Robin. Glad you could make it. Yeah, this is really cool. Yeah, we'll have a look at this in a minute. Oh, you got this this kind of Final Fantasy chin guard thing. That's so cool, man. That's really cool. Where did you get this from, Robin? If you don't mind me asking, or is it, if it's a secret, it's a secret stash, then fair enough. But that's yeah, it's from like Metal Gear, Final Fantasy style. Oh, cool! You got the PTS as well. We'll have a look at this in a minute, but just a quick preview, just a quick. Yeah, that's cool, man. That's cool. Yeah, good stuff. Oh, interesting. Okay. So what are those doing then? It might be doing something. I can't see them down there, but those orange lights on the floor. Cool, huh? Yeah, very cool. Yeah. Thank you. My coworker went to Cyberpunk Fest. Really? No way. That's nuts. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. I'm just reading the BTS snap. Not seeing a light panel screen left. Oh, not seen as a light panel screen left. Okay, you got a light panel. What light panel are you using then? Like we'll go over this. Now that I've brought it up, people are coming in, taking their seats. What light panel are you using? And you say like light panel, you're talking about like a Pavo Slim, LED panel. Obviously Godox. I did their review of Godox's new light panel last week. Kind of interested to see what you're using, because panels is kind of a new phenomenon to many still shooters, and I think it offers a couple of unique options to us, that especially those people like yourself, maybe working in a smaller space like this. I found light panels really useful for that, right? Because of the very quick drop off of light that you can get. There's no hot spots, so you can bring them in super close, and very fast drop off of light, which is great in small spaces. Also, like I can see you're dealing with low ceiling there as well. Panels have kind of opened up top lights to a lot of shoots in like home studios and that sort of stuff, because normally you just couldn't do it, right? Top light, you got the strobe, you got the bracket holding the strobe, then you've got whatever it is above the strobe, and then you have the actual modifier itself, which is usually a softbox. You need like 3 feet of space, at least to even do it, whereas panels kind of cuts away with all of that. And I was using the Nanlite Pavo Slim in a home studio last year, and like super effective. Yeah. Aperture Nova at 1% power. Really? Interesting. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. So do you know what the camera settings were for this? Like, why was it at 1% power? Like, I'm genuinely curious, because this is something that is, again, like I'm finding myself using a lot of lights at that 1% power, especially if they're close, right? And it seems kind of surprising, because these LEDs are not as bright as strobes and that sort of stuff, so it seems kind of surprising. and it seems to be like this kind of dissonance between the brightest light and the weakest light. So I mean, are you at 1% power and shooting ISO 800, or are you at 1% power and then shooting at ISO 100, or like what was the reason? Was it because everything else was kind of low power and that you just wanted just a hint of light as a fill light here, which I presume if it's on the camera left, yeah. Which I mean, look, it's all you need, right? It's all you need. Yeah. I wonder if it was it the blue light, or that's the blue light there. Screen the filling of blue spotlight with gobo straight on and from behind, which is this fella up here. Aperture LEDs. The uplighting was a small panel screen. Yeah, I can see that one down there. Yeah, the P60 Emran. Yeah, those small LEDs at her feet with more for shots where she was. Okay, fair enough. Gotcha. Okay, yeah. Oh, we had the star filter. Nice. Okay, just take the edge off. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I can't really see any stars here, but then you really only need specific points of light. Maybe in the full res, you would see some kind of a star in the specular highlight here in the metal, but it's still going to take away like some of the harshness of the image, especially when you got a light behind and smoke and stuff. Yeah, very cool. Yeah. Yeah, these little things as well. That's clever. For like low down shots. Yeah, great. Good stuff. Yeah. ISO 800. Okay. So Robin, yeah, that's so Robin's saying here it was definitely a slow shutter, and I kept asking the model to stay still. The ISO was 800. So what was the breaking point here then? So why didn't you have, for example, and this is a genuine question, I don't know the situation. It could have been a million and one reasons as to why you couldn't have the lights brighter. But if it's at 1% power and you were still using ISO 800, was it one of the lights in this setup was already at full power, something like that? Like, because sometimes I've found the gobo lights, because there's lenses in it, it's further away and it's crushing the light as well. You can lose like a ton of power. So the new one I got from Godox that they sent me really can only be used with a 100-watt LED. It's a beautiful spotlight, gobo spotlight, beautiful glass, very, very sharp. But the back of it will only go on a 100-watt LED. So you kind of like, it's like I really want to use it, but then I'm kind of restricted to this 100-watt light behind it, which is weird. But so again, if people are reading it going, well, why was it ISO 800 and what 1% power? There is multiple reasons with LEDs that we're kind of all working with, and one of the other reasons that I'm seeing with people in LEDs and at the moment, right, is because a lot of people, a lot of shooters are not just selling all their strobes and then start again, right? What they're doing is they're kind of getting one LED here, a couple of more LEDs there. Maybe they'll get, I got this cool Neo 3 from Rotalight, and then I picked up an aperture panel, and then I picked up something from Godox, and then like 2 or 3 years ago, that like what would have been like a 120-watt LED was bright back then is now 500 watts is more common, right? So I think people are kind of piecemealing their kit as they're growing with it. So I think in like 5 years, I think like the power of like everybody's LEDs that they have will slowly be replaced and that sort of thing, and everybody will kind of be up there in the 300, 500 watt ranges. Yeah. She had more than one outfit, and some of her outfits had props with very low LED quality accents. Okay, and the only way they glow of the power line. Okay, there you go. I knew there had to be a reason. Thank you for explaining that, Robin. Okay, so what Robin's saying there is that she had some outfits that had lights in them, and yeah, like fashion which has LEDs, you're usually going to just be run off a couple of like AA batteries tucked in the pocket somewhere. So what Robin's saying there is that to try and see the lighting in some of her outfits, the rest of the light had to be low. Okay, that makes perfect sense, Robin. Yeah, thank you for explaining that. Yeah, and yeah, I can totally see that being a nightmare. Yeah, I've seen like the glasses. I've seen like some LED glasses, and usually they'll have like this like etched pattern on the glass, and they'll have like a tiny thin bead of LEDs at the top. So it's basically shining light down, and then it's catching the kind of the etching, but super low powered compared to what we're used to in the studio. Yeah. No worries, Robin. No worries. All good. Yeah. Cyberpunk Fest though, man. That's crazy. Yeah. Okay. Right, so we have a look at those. Like I said, I popped a link in the chat. If anybody's here and wanted to share an image, just follow that link. It goes to this image here, and then just pop it in the comments, and we will take a look later on. Yeah, we'll take a look later on. Okay, so let's get cracking with a couple of bits. A couple of weeks ago, last week, something like that, just over a week ago, I was invited down to Racket Studios here in London, and they were going over kind of one of their new studio areas and looking at some of the virtual production sets that they have available, right? So those of you that don't know what a virtual production studio is essentially, most commonly now, is a huge LED wall, right? And at the back of the studio will be a huge LED wall, and then on that LED wall you have images, right? So moving images, like, you know, you got a car driving down a street, and then on the LED wall it'll be a video of the street going by, right? Pretty standard stuff. And then, you know, from there it kind of goes up in complexity. Like I said, you can have, you know, cars on rigs, and then you can have LED screens all the way around. I went to an ARRI studio a couple of years ago, ARRI virtual production studio a couple of years ago, and that was LED walls all the way around, right? And then you have LED screens above sometimes as well, not always. So, you know, there's kind of a range. And this was kind of famously used in The Mandalorian, like the first season of The Mandalorian during COVID, where, granted, it's space and you couldn't go to, I don't know, Padawan Planet 3 or whatever it is. Tatooine or something, planet, obviously. So they had to create it in a studio, and because the Mandalorian's suit is like all shiny silver, it was a great use of it, because you have the actual, it's not like a green screen where you would kind of have to somehow put reflections of the planet on his suit. The reflections on his suit are coming from the screen around him, right? So it's a real great solution to a lot of problems. So I went down there and it was checking it out. I grabbed a couple of videos, which I just want to bring up here, just to kind of give you more of an idea of what they're actually doing, or what these studios are doing. Let me just. I'm just going to mute this because there's nothing to hear anyway. So I just play a couple of these videos. They're only short, 15-second videos or something, but it just gives you an idea, right? So virtual production in the back there, that's the screen, wrap around, and then this is what the camera is seeing. You got the guys in the car here. The car is on a turntable as well that can be moved, right? And then you've got this camera on a gimbal and an arm crane thing there. That crane is 35 grand, by the way. Yeah. So there's actually a lot going on here. There's actually a huge amount going on. And one thing here is that, so we have our fill light here, right? We got our fill panel here, which is going to be linked up to, they're watching the video here. Let me just show you where it is. Where was it? So they're watching the resulting video there, and he's grading it there. But behind me is the guy. Oh yeah, so that's their screen watching the resulting video. Right, and then back here in this area here, you've got guys who are changing the lighting, you know, the image and that sort of stuff, right? So the other big thing to note here is the top light here, which is what we call. I mean, really, it's just a top light. Like I said, in other studios I've been in, other virtual production studios I've been in, it will be another one of these LED screens above. But it's all cost, right? So it's kind of cheaper to have just these lights above. And what we have up here is just a series of lights that you can turn on independently, change the color on, and that sort of thing. Now, each of these panels, I think, can be broken down into at least 4. So they refer to this as a 256 pixel roof here. What that means is that every light that you can turn off and on, maybe this is one panel here, but in that panel you would be able to control the 4 corners of it, right? So that panel there would be classed as having a 4 pixels, which means that you can independently control those pixels. We're starting to see more and more LEDs coming out with this, typically in the higher end lights, and it has its uses for us as still shooters, but not as much, right? So this has got 256 pixels in total above, right? So you can change those dramatically. So they're going to be changing the reflections on the car, right? So if you look at it, you see how it's flickering, right? It's just giving the like the hint, or the radiosity of light falling on the actual car itself underneath is going to give you those reflections, which is enough to trick the eye to thinking that they're driving along, right? Now, this car driving thing is the one example that they always use. So this studio was kind of showing off what can be done. Come down and shoot what you need to here. And one of the things that these virtual production studios love to use as an example of why you should use it is the fact that you can do these driving scenes, right? So imagine if you didn't have this, like if you didn't have this virtual production space, you'd have to probably get a permit for the road, do it at like 4 a.m. when before it's busy, close it off so it doesn't disturb people. It'll cost you a fortune in that. Then you've got to drive up and down or around and round, waiting for the actors to do their lines and all that sort of stuff, right? You got safety. Maybe you can't close off the road, so you're dealing with traffic and all that sort of stuff. You've got to be moving at a consistent pace. So these virtual production studios, they always use the car driving scenes in TV shows as like this is going to save you so much time and money. What's clever about this one, and like I said, it's different for other studios that are like 360 degrees, but for this one, it's just one big back wall. What you can't really see down here is that car is on like motorized like turntable type thing. So you can kind of see that it's on this block down here. You can kind of see it in here. Now that whole thing can be driven via computer. So essentially what you can do is you can spin the car on the spot, right? So if you wanted a shot where you were kind of looking like you were kind of panning around the car, what you would do is you would change the image on the wall behind, spin the car, the camera stays in the same place, and you get the illusion that you're kind of doing these crazy pans around vehicles and that sort of stuff. But really it's all, the camera doesn't move, everything else is kind of moves around the camera with these virtual production screens. So again, it's very easy to just kind of everybody back to frame 1, as it were, start again, and then this whole loop starts again. The car will reset on the turntable back to its starting point, and then you do the whole process again, right? But yeah, the other thing here, which I don't think I've got. Yeah, I kind of mentioned it here in this one. So looking at these hot lights, right? These specular lights, there's ones up here as well. So looking how they're turning off and on and they're moving, right? So these are all going to be pre-positioned. What I mean by that is that they're kind of tracking, or so you'll see like these ones kind of do like a slow pan, like there's a light going past the car. So they're all programmed and pre-programmed in from the computers. But all these lights are to kind of help with selling the story of specular highlights, especially on shiny vehicles like a car and that sort of thing, right? Because it's going to need to be lit with these specular highlights. One thing that I've seen in other virtual production studios, which is crazy, is And this kind of comes back to the Mandalorian show. If you look at the first season, you'll see that kind of a lot of it is kind of shot in the shade, right? And that's because these virtual production studios have, it's just a screen, right? So here, like it's showing the moon, for example, right? Now we know that if we were outside, that moon would be casting a kind of a bright specular highlight reflection on the car as it's driving along. But it's not doing that, right? Because it's just simulating the idea of the moon. Now when we're seeing a flat screen, we go, okay, but that moon is not interacting with the foreground. And this is why a lot of the Mandalorian was shot in the shade and that stuff, so you're not dealing with these weird kind of like the specular highlights not being there. What's interesting about some of these more modern LED walls now is that they're kind of all modular. So what I mean by that is they're all made up of panels, right? So they're so at the back here, it's not just one massive screen. Like they're all made up of panels, right? So what I have seen some of these studios doing, which is kind of wild, is they would pop out this screen here, right, and then in its place, they would just put a hot light there, right? So you would have a hot light here, and then this hot light is poking through this video wall, and then that is going to create the specularity on the objects in the foreground. It's like it's come a very long way. It's come a very long way. It's just super expensive to to use, and as convenient as it is, it's still like you're seeing a lot of shows and that sort of stuff still just opting to do it in real life because it's still cheaper. So we'll see. But like it has tons and tons of scope. Yeah. And like I said, like these clever workarounds like this, and even having the lights above to create the specularity and that sort of stuff is kind of wild. But yeah, popping out these panels and then putting actual hot lights in there. I say hot lights, it doesn't need to be a tungsten head or HMI or anything like that, but a light in there that would cast a specularity on the car in the foreground. And from the camera's point of view, you kind of wouldn't know. It's going to be out of focus, right, in the background and that sort of thing. So we'll see. Yeah. I would love to work on a set like this with Unreal LED backdrop. Yeah. So you're right. This is pretty much, these images are for the most part all generated in Unreal. Now, what we're starting to see, those of you that don't know, Unreal Engine 5 is the software Twixter's talking about there, which is a very, very powerful gaming software that has been around for a very long time. When I say gaming software, it's used to make games, and it's got to, like the quality has got high enough now that it's starting to be used in cinema a lot to generate these backgrounds and environments. Of course, one thing that is happening more and more now is the AI generated backgrounds. Right, so backgrounds that are just being popped in there. You don't even have to go out and make the footage in Unreal Engine, because like I said, there's a lot of skill. It's a huge amount of skill, a lot of time to make that background, and now AI is kind of coming along and kind of replacing that part of it. When I say replacing it, it's a large gap, and I won't bore you guys too much with it, but I was speaking to a gentleman, a very clever guy who works fairly high up in post-pro on like all the Marvel movies and that sort of stuff, and he was telling me about when he went down to test it and see, because everybody was saying, AI is going to change how we do movies and that sort of stuff, and he was going, not that impressed, because you have no control over it, really. You can go, I want this, but you don't get exactly what you want, and you can't really tweak it, right? So he was saying that, it's kind of nice as, you get like 60% of the way there, but it's a long way from replacing what these guys are spending a lot of time doing in Unreal and other programs. The reason why Unreal is so popular is because Unreal Engine is free. This is the 35 grand crane. is free to use, right? And until your project makes over $1 million, they aren't charging you, right? I mean, that's just crazy. Like, it's one of the most powerful pieces of software on the planet, and it's free. I've used it, or I've been brought in as a consultant, a lighting consultant for MetaHumans. It's got nothing to do with the Zuckerberg bell end, but it's more to do with MetaHumans is the name of very realistic, lifelike characters that are made in Unreal Engine are called MetaHumans. And I was called in to consult on lighting of humans and, you know, portrait lighting and that sort of stuff in there. So although I wasn't using Unreal Engine, I was kind of driving it, and it's incredibly powerful with regards to what you can do with light drop off and, you know, hotspots and shadow density and shadow transitions, and it's all kind of built in there as a filter or as an option to mess around with. What I find weird about that is that, you know, I spent my entire career trying to remove some of the imperfections of lighting, right? Like these hotspots and edge transitions and that sort of stuff. And yet Unreal Engine has spent tons and tons of time and money to put those imperfections back in because they're real, right? In the real world, real lighting, you're walking down a street, you're not being lit by a professional studio light, you're being lit by a crappy bulb that has nasty drop off and hotspots and all that sort of stuff. So it's unbelievably powerful for like light rendering. And which is why they use it, and which is why it looks so realistic. One of the downsides to this is that if you've noticed, like a lot of the films that we're kind of seeing today coming out or being made in the, you know, modern era now, everything is very shallow depth of field, right? Everything's kind of shot at f2 or something, right? So that like the background is always knocked out of focus. You know, if you go back a million years and look at, you know, Ben-Hur or anything like that, or, you know, any of those big epic movies, everything is all shot at like f16 or, you know, 22. Like everything's in focus. You have these huge epic battles, and you can see everything that's going on in the background. Whereas in modern movies now, they're not doing that, right? So they're saving money by, you know, kind of getting most of it right back there, but, you know, let's keep it out of focus, right? So we're seeing a lot of movies that are just everything's shot with this very shallow depth of field, which is, you know, Netflix especially, because obviously, you know, budgets aren't quite as high. So it's an interesting medium. Like, it's phenomenal, and I bet, you know, like these guys have got to be super excited about it, and I think it's certainly an opportunity for the younger generation to come in and start showing off their skills, right? Because this is not something that has been around for very long at all. Yeah, we have attempted to shoot video. It's not that I dislike video. It's the fact that it's like, you can see how many people it takes to do this sort of thing, right? It takes, you know, it's a lot of people on set, and it's, you know, shooting videos and movies and that sort of stuff, you know, it's a long process, and it's also a lot of compromises with other people in the team, which, look, I'm a very selfish artist, you know, I make no excuses for that, but I know what I want, and I want to achieve it, right? So, you know, and I don't really want to be compromising my idea of what I want because 18 other people want to have their mark on the project as well, which is what often happens with video. And look, I've been even working on videos where, you know, like they're filming me shooting videos for different brands and that sort of stuff, and you see the video guys, like, they're trying to kind of guide people through a project, but yeah, it's video is first and foremost quite slow for me, and you know, I like to work on a lot of projects and move on to the next idea. My brain can't cope with working on a single project for an extended period of time, which a lot of video work is. Yeah. So talking about, so can you see this cut here? You see this cut? So you see how it moves? That's the parallax of the lens being used in Unreal Engine. So like this cut would change if the lens was different on the camera here. You can't see the camera behind this guy here, but it's on the crane here, and that's the kind of distortion of the parallax that is linked to that camera focal length, right? So if they were to go, right, okay, we're switching to like a 90 now or something like that, you'd probably see this square change, because remember, this is not a video that's playing back there. This is a 3D world that they've generated, and that's how you can kind of change the compression and that sort of thing in real time, because it's not a video, it's an actual environment that they're in. And that's why you see that parallax shifting like that. Yeah, you see it go all the way back as the camera is turning. Yeah, very cool. Yeah. So I mean, it's super geeky. Yeah, very, very geeky. And I say the reason I say, oh, it's come a long way, is because this event that they're doing here, which was kind of showing off what the studio's doing and that sort of stuff. So I was called down by Panavision. I think we looked it up like 4 years ago to be part of this event, right? And as a photographer there, I was shooting using their new LED panels from Panavision, the Panelux lights and that sort of stuff, and kind of demoing what could be done with some of the lighting and that sort of stuff. And it was a huge set, and it was all kind of controlled via some dude with an iPad and all that sort of stuff. And I still brought down my own projector, right, and projected an image onto the screen at the back there. But it's like I've got it gaffer taped on its side and shot onto the back, and I'm using tubes, right? This is the same event. This was 4 years ago, right? So this is what I was shooting 4 years ago for them down there, using my own projector that I brought, right? I think I'm on the train, no less, right? And so all this back here is projected, and then I'm adding lights in the foreground with the new Panelux tubes they had at the time, and I was kind of showing off what could be done. I mean, that's like dark ages compared to what I've just shown you from virtual production. And this was what? This was just after COVID, I think, so like 4 years ago. I'm sure it was 4 years ago. It's nuts, absolutely wild how far it's come. There you go, 2022. Yeah. So that's what I was doing for them 4 years ago, and now this is this is what they're doing now. It is crazy how fast it is progressing. Yeah. But it's kind of funny that I was there with like my own projector, with a screen, all that sort of stuff, doing it. And at the time, I was like, "Oh my god, that's so cool!" And you think I was talking about 30 years ago? Yeah, it was 4 years ago. Yeah, it's just crazy, absolutely nuts. So this Racket Studios has really been, cranked it up. It's not the 360 Arri ones with the screen and all that sort of stuff. When I was in that one, like you get seasick in that one. It's like full 360 degrees, and the roof is moving, so that like the whole world is being generated around you, and like it was flying over mountains and stuff, and you're in it. You just like, oh Jesus, you wanted to hang on to something. It's very surreal. Yeah, some of these virtual production studios are so powerful. It's nuts. So this is a respectable one. This is kind of middle of the road. You just got a screen at the back, and you got lights above rather than a screen. Certainly usable for most people. But yeah. Fascinating to see. If you ever get the chance to head down to a virtual studio like that, it's pretty cool. Yeah, very, very cool. Just lastly, they had, I think, this is not really anything, but they had the old green screen room there, but it's all kind of generated in real time. So they're walking around this environment in real time, and they're kind of interacting with that environment. So everything's keyed in, and then like they're sitting down, so like the two chairs is the only thing there, but like all this is kind of, you can interact with it, right? Which is it's crazy. And again, AI is able to do that. It's able to generate models and put models in there as well in real time. Yeah, the state of this now is just so quick. Yeah. So you see this kind of pen that they're using, or light that they're using. Yeah, but that's the only thing that's there. Is crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Wild. Wild. Have any of you guys played around with anything like that? So I suppose the I'm trying to think what would be like a photographic equivalent would be a projected background, or maybe even like a green screen. I suppose I've done green screen once, was not a fan of the nightmare that is. Has anybody done anything like that? Even used a projector, I suppose, to kind of fake a background, right? And not, it just doesn't need to be crazy. I mean, I think I might have a couple of them on the front page here, maybe. So yeah, I mean, like this is this is a hair shoot I did a while back. So like you're kind of bringing in your hot lights to kind of replicate the lighting that's going on in the background there, right? And again, you've got these the colors on this side, and you're kind of bringing in similar colors here. Pretty cool, like very, very cool. Like this one is kind of more bedded in, so this is again just a lot of lighting in the foreground, and then you've got this background behind her there. It's kind of LA style palm tree, light coming up, warmth. Yeah. Has anybody done anything like that or played with it? Does it interest you, I suppose, as well? Or are you just like, no, it's not really photography, it's I like the lights, and just trying to, this is a bit, I get it, like it's not going to be for everyone. Some people are like, I want to go outside. Oh, this is the same thing, right? Same thing here. I think I did this for Set.a.light a long time ago. Again, like a lot of it for me is kind of color matching, and then bringing in foreground elements to kind of tie it together. Something that I've done is like bringing in curtains and that stuff just helps a lot with selling it. Yeah. Oh, here's another one there. That's one of the really early ones. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. So Eric says, just built my first cycle wall in my studio. Might have playing with a projector. Yeah, I mean, if you got a cycle wall, you definitely got space to use it. Like it's one of the only downsides of a projector is you kind of do need space, right? You kind of do need a little bit of space in there. The other downside of projector is that they're typically not very bright. Right, not in our world. Like bright in our world with a strobe or a speed light or something like that is super bright compared to a projector. So a couple of things have kind of helped projectors come to the fore for me. One is the quality of them, like the actual pixel size of them. 4K projectors, but even 1080p you can get away with. I think there's this one, it's like 1080p. Like if you're shooting at 2.8 or something, it's fine, right? So the quality of them have gone up, but they were kind of difficult to use in conjunction with Flash, because Flash was so bright. So like her, for example, right? I couldn't use a projector with her like 5 or 10 years ago, 10 years ago anyway, with Flash, because the projector would be super dull and the Flash would be overpowered. So it's kind of difficult to bring those two lights together, the foreground and the background. And you could go, well, Jake, you could ND the Flash, and you could ND the Flash. Sometimes NDing flashes is a pain to do with certain modifiers and that sort of stuff. So it was a pain. LEDs, however, like Robin was saying earlier on, she's got her LED down to 1%, which is a great, like, huge amount of control. Like she couldn't have done that shoot that she was doing there, where her subject had very low-powered lighting in as part of the styling. You couldn't do it with Flash. Flash would just nuke it, right? So LEDs being able to go down at a lower power does enable you to kind of do some of these shoots where you can kind of bring the two elements, foreground and background, together. Yeah. Andre says, I did some shoots with LED TV behind the model. Yeah, LED TV is good. Yes, as a good example. Yeah, I've shot with light boxes behind the model, tube station in LA. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Interesting. That's cool. Yeah, that's a good good example, Andre. Actually, I hadn't thought about that. So I think what Andre's talking about there is, those ads that you normally have up. We in the UK, we like they're referred to as ad shells, or like the bus shelter ones, and you got this box that's kind of backlit, right? But that's kind of a interesting example. Yeah. I could definitely see that working. Yeah, that's cool. And then Andre was also saying he was using LED TV behind, and again, yeah, that's right. I remember doing that back at art college, just having a TV behind. And as photographers, we can kind of cheat so much with a very shallow depth of field, right? Because pixels on a TV are pretty big when they're close or in focus. But like, you can have somebody sat, right next to it. But if you're at like f2 or something, f2.8, you're just not going to see the pixels. Yeah. Eric says, for now, I just have several newer RGB lights to play with a few 300 and 600 watts. Okay, so like, yeah, if you're in a controlled environment, Eric, which sounds like you are in a studio, like you've just built a site wall, then like, yeah, it sounds like you've definitely got control of the studio and the brightness. You're going to be absolutely fine. Yeah. Yeah. Interested to see how you get on with the newer RGB lights, and look, we're just speaking photographer to photographer here. Like, there's no bullshit. I don't care what you use. I'm just genuinely curious as to how you find them in terms of the quality. Because look, let's be honest. Like, they are inexpensive lights, and if you're somebody who's been shooting with flash before and maybe used to a certain color, if you're shooting a lot of white light stuff, I'd be interested to see how you get on with them. Because the color of them, for me, and maybe it's changed in recent years, like LED quality has gone up a lot. But yeah, historically, I've always found that like the white light of them to be a little bit off, usually towards the green. And look, white balancing and stuff today, it's less of an issue. Like, going back to what Robin was dealing with as well, most of us are using multiple brands and different lightings. She was using LEDs on the outfit, and then Amaran, and then some other brands and that sort of stuff. So once you like, white balancing is fine. I see people use this argument of like, oh, you can white balance. You can, but once you white balance the newer ones, now the Rotolite ones are out and all that sort of stuff. So it gets a little bit confusing. So I'll be interested to see how you get on with those ones. Again, like, you can buy 4 newers for the price of one other brand. So look, I get it, right? I totally get it. Yeah. Just briefly, we've spoken about this before, so I'm not going to mention it here, but Unsplash, those of you who aren't familiar with Unsplash, is essentially just where people upload their images for free. I don't recommend you do this because all the images that you find on Unsplash are royalty free. But those of us who were just talking about maybe, although they have like these ones with a plus on them, I think they just got bought by Getty. So I think like there's mixed ones in here. But those of us who were just talking about projectors and backgrounds and all that sort of stuff, boom, you can just hop on here, grab something that you think looks cool, and then use this royalty free in the background of your images. So like stuff like this, this could work well. This is nice, soft, dreamy. That could be cool back there, especially once you shoot that, shoot the subject at f2, knock it out of focus. Colors could be beautiful on that as well. So this is what Unsplash is. Great if you're just looking for backgrounds of something. Could be cool, right? The reason I'm bringing it up here is interesting to see that NASA put on 45 images here as well, which is actually kind of wild, actually kind of crazy. Now you can access these images yourself anyway. You can just Google them, and because they're kind of public domain, seeing as NASA is government funded or funded by the people. So you can download these anyway. But it's just kind of interesting to see NASA put these on Unsplash as well. Kind of I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, I think it's cool. They are getting these images out there for sure. Yeah. Jesus Christ, these haven't been up there very long. People, I guess, the Chinese are just turning these into T-shirts. Like, what are we doing? Like, with the greatest respect, that's a lot of downloads. It's been up 3 weeks. The fuck? What are they doing with it? It's got to be the most popular one, right? No, this one damn. So I get, like, are people just making mugs? Like, is that, like, that's a lot of downloads. The hell? What? Nice. Anybody want a nice mouse pad? Like, who knows? Who knows? It's probably just bots. Who knows? Yeah. Oh, what? Only 950? This poor guy. That's not good, is it? There's a huge disparity between some of these. Yeah, this one where he's got his thumb over the lens. It's, you know, kind of weird. I'm teasing. Of course it's not. See this one. Oh, the moon not getting much love, man. That's crazy. That's hilarious. Yeah. Okay, so people don't want the moon; they just want the Earth. Oh, interesting. That's kind of cool, though. Yeah. It says, yeah, I hear what you're saying with the color matching. Most of my strobes are Godox, and I've gotten them to work fine with the newer so far. Nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, like I said, yeah, you know, LEDs are getting better all the time, right? And it was years ago when I tested the newer ones, and back then they were green. Actually, one of the first lots of LEDs that we ever used. This was back when I was sponsored by Bowens and doing a lot of work for them a million years ago now, and I remember the meeting. They brought out these LEDs, and look, Bowens again. Like, Bowens was a victim of their own success, in my opinion. Like, they made phenomenal lights. I've still got them here. You know, you can't make a business model out of you know, making a light that lasts you 25 years. But even a million years ago, they brought out like some of the first LEDs, and they were called, the line was called LimeWire. They had one series that was LimeWire. I think it was Limelight or something like that. Not LimeWire was the downloadable thing. Limelight. It was definitely Limelights. Yeah. and they were nasty. They were really, really bad. Like, very, very green. And they had other ones as well. I've still got the other ones over there because they had these modular units as well. And again, this was before anybody was doing this. They had these modular cubes, and you could just have one, or you could stack them into four, and like they had proprietary attachment points. They were really cool, but again, like light quality and colors were just terrible. So they never really got off the ground. But I remember testing them, going, there's no way these are replacing my strobes. Yeah. I only finished the wall about a week ago, so I'm just starting to play around with combining them. Nice. Okay. Yeah. So Andre says, I think are using them for their wallpaper on the computer and stuff. True. That's true. I was very wrong to assume that people were using them nefariously. That's on me. Andre is right. I'm sure most normal people were just using them as wallpaper and not turning them into t-shirts, which is that's on me. You're right, Andre. You're right. I take it back. Speaking of Getty and all that sort of stuff, who bought Unsplash there, Getty and Shutterstock combining, which is kind of wild. You really wouldn't think it makes a huge difference, but UK Watchdog says Shutterstock must sell its editorial business to approve Getty merger. So I think this is what this CMA or MMC or CMA, the watchdog here in the UK. These guys are savage. They're really good at kind of keeping an eye on companies having monopolies, right? Which is just one big company gobbling up all these other companies and then just having a monopoly, right? A million years ago in the gaming world, well, it was like 3 or 4 years ago, I think, what was it? Microsoft were trying to buy up Blizzard and owning Call of Duty and all that sort of stuff, and there was a huge kind of like, oh yeah, it's going to be amazing, and then the Brits stepped in and was like, no, you're not doing that. They threw a spanner in the works for a very long time. So these guys are no joke, and what they're saying here is that, look, you've basically got the two largest photo agencies becoming one. Like, that's not, you now have a monopoly on the cost of images. Like, I don't think there's any money left in stock photography personally, but yeah, I just find it interesting. Yeah, 3.7 billion merger. Wow, that's a lot. I saw a couple people going, "Oh my god, Nikon's closing down. It lost a shit ton of money last year and that sort of stuff." Nikon was unable to right the ship in earlier in 2026 after it posted massive losses over the first 3 quarters. The company ultimately set a record for its worst annual loss, losing 86 billion yen. I don't know what that is. Does it explain it here? Oh yeah, 700 million, or nearly 550 million. Total operating profit was negative. So I don't think so. I think they've got a solid product at the moment. I think that they're in a stronger position, ironically, now than they ever have been. I think the photographic industry as a whole is taking an absolute kicking. So I think it's kind of unfair to take this in isolation. Am I biased? Yeah, I'm biased. But I don't think this is as panic stricken as people are making out. They had a huge amount of outgoings last year or whatever it was that in terms of R&D and all that sort of stuff that maybe won't happen again this year. We'll see. The reason I'm bringing it up is because everybody was like, "Oh my god, it's the end of Nikon." I don't think it is. Yeah. Obviously, Sony teases new alpha camera ahead of May 13th announcement. Sony is starting building anticipation around the new alpha camera launch with a short teaser that is already triggering speculation across the photography community. So, I guess for you guys, exciting times. I don't know. What have we got here? All right, so here we go. Let's have a look. Mark your calendars. So they posted this 5 days ago, May 13th. What day are we today? That's tomorrow. It's tomorrow, guys. It's tomorrow. So we got finally the 16-400 f1.4 the 3 people won. Nice. Everybody here waiting for the FX3. Bro, I just got my RV 6 months ago. Give it a Look, if Sony's got a fault, it is the fact that they're just bringing out stuff so quickly. Yeah. Occasionally they are revolutions in tech, but for the most part they're incremental, right? Yeah. God, these Sony guys, so excited! Can't wait for the announcement. I just need another camera. Yeah. Okay, so people. Okay, so you got. I mean, you Sony guys died in the wool, man. You guys will you'll buy anything that they put out. Help Nikon out, check new camera. Whoa, no, mate, steady. That's it. Nikon is a victim like Bowens. You can't make quality like that and expect me to upgrade. Like if Sony made a decent camera, they wouldn't need to keep bringing out new ones all the time. As much as I'm not a Nikon fan, them buying Red must have done wonders for them. So Paul, yeah, I was trying to think when that, because I was thinking about that when I saw the announcement here, money wise, and I'm like, because that was a huge amount of money going out of the company at the time, which I presume was more than a year ago. But yeah, I was thinking of that as well, and thinking these are kind of one-off purchases that, well, you say one-off, but they're huge investments that you got to give them time to kind of reap rewards from them, right? And they are doing things. We're seeing, what do we see? We saw a combo of tech with the Nikon lenses supposedly going on the cinema lenses, which were made by Nikon, which I presume is kind of in keeping with the Red family as well. So look, that'll be great for everybody involved. I don't think we've seen anything apart from silhouettes of lenses so far, so I think that's going to be announced at some point. Obviously the Red tech will make its way into the could well be the next Z camera, right? Could be. So maybe that tech will make it in there. So yeah, to your point, Paul, I agree. I think that was a huge purchase. Yeah, we don't need more Sony cameras. guys. I'm amazed. I thought everybody look. I'm going to be that guy for a second. All right, and you know me. I'm not biased. But I wish some of these people who bought a Sony camera every year would buy some decent lighting, right? And Eric, close your ears for a second. This is not targeted at you. But buying a 50 quid, 80 quid LED, and then using a $4,000 camera is just like, it's painful, right? It's painful. It's like the lighting, to me, is always going to be more important than the box with a hole in it, right? That's just me, right? It's just me. What Sony are very, very good at is marketing, and they will bring out a feature that is a sexy feature that is very easy to spread and disseminate amongst the dignified customers that they have cultivated over the years. So like the global shutter was a great example of that. Like the global shutter is something that 5% of their user base will probably actually use in any meaningful way, but everybody was convinced that they needed it. And look, the global shutter is great, but like for 99% of the photos that we take, we do not need a global shutter format. Now don't get me wrong, it's a great feature, and I would love it on the camera, but it's not something that we need. Yet they do a very good job with these sexy features, and look, they're extremely good at marketing. Extremely good at marketing. Yeah. Eric says, I love my Sony cameras. But I see. Eric, I was not talking to you, I swear to Christ. I just did not know you were a Sony shooter, I promise. I love my Sony cameras, but I see no reason buying anything new in the A7 for the time being. So what is the A7 IV then? Is like what megapixels are we talking about? Like full frame, $2,000. We got 30. Exactly. Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. I mean, I don't know what the DA50 is, but what is it? 45 megapixels full frame. Yeah. And what do you said your high school? Yeah, no worries. My clients mostly high school seniors. So I mean, yeah, like exactly. You're not going to need to be blowing it up to billboards and that sort of stuff. That's not your client. I agree. Like you don't. Yeah, it's just not needed, right? I live in Iowa, in the US. No big paying clients from me there. Yeah, it's like you're not going to be. And look, no disrespect, right? This is like 0.1% of photographers shoot those types of shots where you need like a billboard campaign for Nike or Adidas or whatever. It's not needed. It's not needed. And look, I won't go over it again, but you have to remember that NASA took up that 10-year-old D5, right? Which I thought was 45 megapixels, but somebody told me at the weekend it was only like 20 megapixels. And one of the reasons they did that is because of how well it dealt with low light, right? Those bigger pixels meant that it was able to deal with low light far better than the more modern, more expensive cameras. So like you got to get the right camera for the job, right? Yeah. We're just looking at that. Yeah. Polaroid. I'm only bringing this up because again, I am seeing it's got to be confirmation biased. I will give you that, but I am seeing a divide. Right, we're getting a divide between like the super modern tech stuff that everybody's like, oh, I'm using AI. AI is revolutionized the way I work, and that's just like it's groundbreaking for my business, fine, right? And then you have the opposite end of that spectrum, which is kind of people who are just like, I am so AI fatigued right now that I just kind of want to go back to a simpler time. And we kind of am seeing more of a trend in slightly more nostalgic kit, even onboard flash stuff, and even I've been shooting stuff that was kind of reminiscent of the 90s as well, and seeing like a lot of handheld analog style digital cameras coming out, tons of those, and Polaroid obviously jumping on the bandwagon. This is kind of interesting, the wording here. As smartphone screens continue to dominate daily life, a growing number of young adults are rediscovering the appeal of analog experiences. So it's kind of an interesting opening line there, and it kind of speaks to what I'm saying is, I don't think that this printer is being bought by 45-year-olds, right? But I do think that you are seeing kids who've never had this, this tactile experience shooting, kind of finding fun in that, right? Finding fun in, thinking about a shot and then printing it out and then, oh, this is really cool. And like, even stuff, you just got a little frame at the front there, you can put your favorite one in. there is an argument to be said that there is this kind of tactile feeling. And what I do it here. What have I got? I got something here, I think. I've got a Polaroid camera that prints out. Oh, here it is. This thing, right? So this is like a modern Polaroid. This is a Fuji Instax SQ20 or whatever it is, right? And it's like it's got, it's got a screen on the back, right? And then you print it out, and you get, and then you get your prints, right? Printed out. Now, the reason I'm showing this to you is not because these are groundbreaking images or anything like that. Of course not. It's the interaction that you get on set during a shoot that I think is just still overlooked by so many professionals, right? And one of the things that you can do on shoots is, like you bring out a Polaroid and you print something out like that, costs you like a couple of bucks or whatever it is, and then they get the print and that sort of stuff. You'd be amazed as to what people remember from a shoot, and it'll be this, it'll be these little Polaroids and that sort of stuff that they can hold and look at, and everybody wants to shoot with their phone and that sort of stuff. And it's not just about the final images. Look, who was it? Eric in there says he shoots senior portraits, right? Eric, I would say, look, worth getting one of these, right? It doesn't like cost you $100, something like that, and then the film, I don't know, like a buck a shot or something like that, and then trying it with your senior portraits there. And I mean this seriously. I would actually have a play with it and just shoot a couple of Polaroids, because guess what? What do you think they're going to show their mates, right? Like in terms of you and actual marketing to other people, right? What do you think they show their mates? Because they're going to have this in their pocket or their bag or whatever, right? Or they're going to take pictures of it and they're going to spread that around. This is great kind of marketing that is very below the line marketing, as they call it. And I would seriously think about getting one and shooting a couple of snaps at the end of a shoot and that sort of stuff. Young people love these things, right? Because it's totally brand new to them. You got to remember that they weren't around when we were struggling with prints and all that shit. So look, don't underestimate the power of analog and physical products that people can take away from the shoot. They absolutely love it. I guess I can humble brag. A little local theatre that I shoot for puts my stuff on digital billboards. Oh, nice, all the time. But I think even those billboards don't need any higher resolution than what I do. No, they don't. I mean, those billboards are like they're not. Yeah, like the pixels that you get up close to them. Yeah, they're not big. Yeah. I take 2 Polaroids for everyone that. So Twixler here says I take 2 Polaroids of everyone that comes over for a shoot. One for my fridge and one for them. I love seeing all the shoots I do in a year. That's awesome. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So Robin, tell me, what's the kind of do you kind of get positive feedback when you do that? Are people like, oh, what's this? And they just whack it in their pocket and just forget about it, or are they like, oh, that's pretty cool, or what are you doing? And what's the be honest, what's the vibe that you get from that? You think it's worth doing? I know you do it for you, and look, I shoot these for me as well, but for clients as well. Did you get good feedback from that? I'll just move on whilst you're typing in full caps. So this kind of acquisition has been going on for a long time in the industry behind closed doors. Ari has, in my understanding, and I'm being careful with choosing my words here, but in my understanding, Ari has been struggling, right? Those of you who don't know, Ari was one of the largest cinema lighting manufacturers of all time. Like they very famously made the Sky Panel, and they sold hundreds of thousands of these things, and they're extremely expensive to begin with. Arri is not cheap, and it's certainly up there as the Mercedes, Rolls-Royce level of lighting, right? But they struggled, in my opinion, to innovate. This Sky Panel was like damn near 10 years old, and how quickly we've just been speaking about how quickly LEDs have been updating in terms of tech and all that sort of stuff. And in my opinion, they were kind of slow to bring out an updated version. And as a result of that, they were kind of struggling, and they were looking to sell. And this kind of came about a month ago now. Arri has been acquired by German entrepreneur Thomas Riedel. Now, there's a couple of caveats to this, one of which is I think everybody was afraid afraid is a harsh term, but kind of concerned that it was going to be another one of these very famous family-owned brands that was just going to be consumed by a Chinese company. And look, Hasselblad, right? I mean, that happened to them. And look, in fairness, I think we all expected the worst for Hasselblad, but that hasn't happened. They've brought out some beautiful cameras, and they still make beautiful pieces of kit, and it looks like who owns them now? Like DJI or something like that owns them now. It looks like they've been told to get on with it, and they have. But some of these Western brands who have been family owned since 1917, I think, here. So it was kind of cool to see it kept German owned again, which is cool. What was interesting about this, it was a personal purchase by him, so not his companies, but by him. So we'll see how that shakes out. But what people are speculating is that he is planning to let Arri kind of get on with things again, rather than being beholden to shareholders and that sort of stuff, where you have too many chefs, right? So we'll see how it pans out. But glad that it's been bought, and it's good for the industry that it's been bought and hasn't just kind of devalued to the point of losing all that tech entirely. So not huge news, but I do think for the people in the industry, I was here at Rec Studios, and they were like going, yeah, it's just great news, so I think people are happy that it's been bought up, and it's just not going to fizzle out. I also have them sign the Polaroids now. It's a date. Oh, it's cheesy. I mean, is it cheesy? Yeah, it is cheesy, but it's about that physical interaction and that actual creating something. And I'm not just talking about capturing something on a card somewhere. I'm talking about any physical interaction that you can have with people makes a huge impact on spending, right? And look, let's not put too fine a point on it, but spending is what it comes down to for those of us who are trying to sell images professionally. And you got people at one end of the spectrum, like maybe like me, working with brands is different, where I'm kind of selling to a business. But for a lot of photographers, and like the first 10 years of my career was selling to customers, right? So family portraits, corporate headshots, whatever it is, it's about making that connection and building trust, right? And all that comes with those things that you're doing, Robin. So I know we can go, oh, it's cheesy, but I think it all helps to build on the sale at the end of the day. And we used to do things like that in the studio for sure. Yeah. I have a new photo shoot toy. Is Meta glasses, so people can see what I see. Sometimes backup camera is cool, different from vinyl. What? I now shoot with Meta glasses. Interesting. So how does that work then, Robin? So when you say they see what you see, so you're wearing the glasses, but how do they see it? Have you got a TV set up that they can see what you're seeing? Jesus Christ, that's wild. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. All right. So on that Arri note, let's just come over here. Just BTS for Meta glasses. Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Okay, so they're not. It's not like a live view. They're looking at a TV of you looking at them. I was like, good work, good work. Yeah. No, I send Google Drive afterwards. I like it, Robin. Like, I think it's all about adding value, right? Yeah, I wouldn't. I can't imagine myself doing that. I think I'll just stick to a few Polaroids, but I could definitely see the value in that. Yeah. I think it's about tying back to the experience, which is what I think you are doing there, which I think is really valuable. I think you're reminding people of the time or the fun or the experience of the images being taken. I think many photographers today I see get caught up in it's purely about the final image, right? And although the final image is obviously extremely important, and bottom line, it does come down to that, I think that if you have clients there on the day, if you can remind them of the fun that they had whilst that image was being taken, that's what they remember. And I've told this story before, so I won't go over it again. But when I was working in a busy portrait studio, I would do a setup where you would have like mum and daughter on one side and dad and son on one side, right? And they'd be at the back of the studio, and you'd have the boys pushing against the girls, right? And it would be, and I would turn it into a game, like, pushing one way and, pushing the other way. And, the kids would be pushing and they'd be trying to push the boys over and vice versa and that sort of stuff. What was interesting about that was that you never got any flattering images from that, because they're all squashed and stuff. Like, they're all squashed and got their eyes closed or whatever they're doing, right? But they nearly always bought those images, right? Nearly always. It's not about them looking beautiful, but it's about the memory of them and that image being taken that they bought, right? It was, I remember that was when, we cheated and we tickled Susan and she fell over, and that's how we were able to beat mum. Like, it's about them tying back the physical memory of the image being taken that they're buying, not just the final frame. And look, I think if you're somebody who is working with the person who's going to be buying the images in the shot, like, it's so incredibly valuable. Like the experience of those images being taken is incredibly valuable. Even, I do a bunch of hair shoots, and I'm kind of mindful of the fact that I need to get the shots. Like the hair shoots need to be good, but I'm kind of mindful of the fact that for a lot of the time, these hair shoots for the staff are kind of a reward for the staff, right? Like a bonus, if you like. And that may seem crazy to some of you, but some of these guys are really passionate about what they do. In fact, nearly everybody that I've worked with is incredibly passionate about what they do. They're usually coming in to do these photo shoots on their days off. And I'm mindful of the fact that this is kind of like their kind of, experience, this photo shoot experience that they've kind of earned, for they've worked hard for 6 months, whatever it is, and the boss has paid for this really cool, shoot. They got, styling and makeup and photographer and that sort of stuff. And you want to kind of, you want to be mindful of that and make sure that they have an awesome day, right? As much as I'm trying to be in it, and I can be, firm on set about what I think is going to look best, but I'm also conscious of the fact that this is their kind of corporate event, as it were, and you've got to make sure that everybody's having a good time, right? It's so valuable. And again, YouTube doesn't teach you any of this, right? It's just this is how you create 4 setups with one light. You're not fucking selling anything like that. I'm just saying. No disrespect, but you're not selling any photos like that. Oh man, let's have a look what we got here. By the way, this entire 1899 Netflix series was produced in LED Studio. Oh, okay, I'll have a look at that photo. Thank you. Yeah. Actually, I'm totally terrible at marketing. You need to share some sort of BTS. The mental class is an interesting idea. Yeah, it is. And the BTS is kind of like a necessary evil now, right? Years ago, I just roll my eyes, but it is necessary evil. People love it, right? People, and that's what they share. Like, that's what people share, which is great for you and sharing your business, right? Yeah. We live in a new age where, as an artist, if you don't have robust BTS, you might be accused of AI. That's another point, Robin. Yeah, it's another point. I think it is about, proof, right? Proof of ownership and that sort of stuff, and having BTS of the shot being taken. And, I get questioned with it about my images, and it's just like, scroll back, right, and you'll see the back of the camera, on Instagram. Scroll back a couple of weeks and you'll see me taking images of the back of the camera. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. Like, yeah. Oh, for sure, I get accused of AI constantly. Really? And I've been creating crazy edits for years. I do admit to using AI lately for building backgrounds, etc. Basically saving me time and money and stock photos. Yeah, building backgrounds and stuff. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying about stock photography, right? I mean, I'd be happy to, pay a few quid for stock photography. It's like you just got to find it. You just got to find it, right? As well, you got to find the exact image you want. Yeah. Hey Vlad, how you doing, mate? How you doing? You just missed a couple of rants. Nothing serious. Right, we're just talking about Arri and what they're doing. I'm just going to show just a quick video, a great video from a new product from Arri. Let's have a look at what they're doing here a second. I'm not going to go through all of it, but I will just cover a couple of bits. Let's just check what we're doing.
G'day, I'm Sean, and this is the Arri Omnibar. It's a battery-powered IP65 linear light, which has a range of different professional mounting options and magnetically interchangeable optics. The Omnibar is available both as the 2-foot Omnibar 2 or the 4-foot long Omnibar 4, and both are very high-resolution lights. The Omnibar 2 has 16 individually addressable pixel zones, and the Omnibar 4 has 32 of them.
So there's those pixel zones I was talking to you about earlier on from the virtual production, right? So there's like these lights that are seemingly going down a line. These are the different pixel zones being turned off and on.
Addressable pixel zones, and the Omnibar 4 has 32 of them. There are many different ways to control an Omnibar, and you'll get the option between the sleek black version or the classic Arri blue and silver. Now, the Omnibar has a brand new 5-color LED light engine that
So you'll start to see more and more of this with different LED brands, and they'll be touting, five colors, 8 colors, whatever it is, different chips and that sort of stuff. So here, for example, this, like the Arri one, is pretty standard, right? We got the red, green, blue, and then we've got the warm and cool Kelvin chips as well. So when he says five colors, it's usually what they're referring to.
We've designed for outstanding color accuracy and beautiful skin tones. In fact, we can achieve a TLCI and a CRI greater than 98.
So I mentioned this before. I am just going to mention this now. I know I keep stopping this, so I apologize, but it's worth covering here. So those of you who don't know, this is like the higher the number, 100 is going to be, I don't know, probably natural light, right? Perfect color and that sort of stuff. A couple of years ago, 96, 97 was good. Now 98, it's good, don't get me wrong, but it's fairly standard, right? Now I'm gonna raise one added issue here, especially now that Vlad's here, and anybody who read my very long and boring review of the Godox panel last week, I mentioned about how certain lighting companies now are being a little bit cheeky with their Kelvin range, right? And he goes on to give you his Kelvin range of these lights. But it's worth noting here that this color quality, or this color, this color value, is only relevant or only for 3200 to 5600. Now, it's really important to kind of keep an eye on this, because a lot of different brands are kind of giving you this huge Kelvin range, which he will mention in a minute, but it's not going to be using just the warm and cool Kelvins. It will be using the RGB bulbs as well. And I'm really kind of bringing this up because I spoke about it in depth last week in my article. I know nobody reads articles anymore, but I just wanted to like to mention it here because it's interesting to see kind of Arri not folding to it completely, and they are caveating it with, look, we can get these, but only in this range here. As soon as you go below 3200 here or above 5600, these color qualities, will drop off dramatically because they won't be using Kelvin, they'll be using the RGBs.
Between 3200 Kelvin and 5600 Kelvin, with a full CCT range from 1700 Kelvin all the way up to 20,000 Kelvin.
So that's exactly what I was talking about, right? So there you go. So he said, the Kelvin range is 1700 to 20,000, right? But in that previous, color quality range he was talking about, it was whatever it was, 2.5 to 7.5 or something like that. So far smaller range. These new lighting LEDs and brands, what they're doing, they're able to achieve these extreme Kelvin ranges by now turning on the red, green, and blue bulbs, right? So down here in the 1700, and you can do it on any of your panels at home, like here,
color LED light engine.
so here you can kind of, you know, set your light to 5600 Kelvin, and you'll probably have these two are on, right? If you turn it down and you watch these, you'll find that the red and the green ones will now slowly turn on as well, right? That's when you can see where it's not coming from just the Kelvin chips, but it's actually coming from the red, green, and blue chips as well. So down at 1700, you've usually got the red and green ones on, and, you know, 10,000 Kelvin at the opposite end, you've usually got the blue one on as well. Yeah.
Designed to be a great match for our other LED fixtures, including the Orbiter, the SkyPanel Pro, and the SkyPanel X. With a standard round diffuser, the Omnibar is on average a little bit brighter than other tube lights you would expect of a similar size. But because we have interchangeable optics, if you swap in the intensifier, you can expect a significantly brighter output, about 50% extra, and of course, a narrower beam angle.
So again, it's worth remembering, like, the marketing speak here, and he's not lying. But
interchangeable optics, if you swap in the intensifier, you can expect a significantly brighter output.
So you just gotta be careful with that. It's still going to be however many watts it is. What these companies are doing now is they are bringing out ways of kind of controlling that light, right? So that rather than you just using like a softbox that just dumps light around the entire studio, right? What he's saying is you swap out that diffusing, you know, strip that was here, right? And now you can kind of put this on, which is like a beam angle, almost like a Fresnel type thing. So rather than light going everywhere, it will focus it in. So what that means is that you now have, as you know, a brighter light. Okay, you don't have a brighter light. It's just that you're not spreading the light everywhere. So again, just be mindful of. I'm seeing more brands doing this when they're kind of giving you the values of how bright it is. It's like, yeah, if you focus it down a, you know, like a spot, like all that power is going into a single point. Oh yeah, it's really bright. But when you actually use the light as you would do in a real world situation, it's nowhere near as bright because it's being spread out. I'm not saying they're fudging the numbers here. I'm just saying it's something for you to watch out with these more modular lighting systems that we're seeing now.
About 50% extra, and of course, a narrower beam angle. One of the most exciting features for me is the ease of rigging, thanks to a range of different mounting points built into the fixture itself and a slew of simple, smart and secure rigging accessories. But I think we have to get the most important question out of the way early. How much is it going to cost? Well, I'm very happy to announce that the Omnibar is going to be one of the cheapest fully featured lighting fixtures that we've ever released, with an Omnibar 2 with a range of accessories and different lighting modifiers available in our creator set for €650. Plus, we have stock and we're shipping today.
You got to remember that I just mentioned to you that ARRI is like the Rolls Royce of lighting, right? They've been around for a very long time. It's extremely expensive, and this is not cheap, right? But like, where does that sit with the pavo tubes? Does anybody know? Does anybody shoot pavo tubes here? So what did he say that was? That was what did he say that's the size of that was? These are the 2 feet, right? So that would be what, 60 centimeters? Power tubes, what, 60? Okay, so yeah, single power tube there, so about 350. Okay, so I mean, it's still, you know, double the price. Okay.
Now let's take a closer look at the Omnibar. The Omnibar is built from aluminium and it's been designed to withstand the rigours of daily use on set. We're going to start with built-in mounting points. So at each end you'll find a 3/8 hole here, which has been designed to be used with a little eyelet, which is included in the sets, so that you can suspend the fixture or use it for a safety cable. You might also like to use that hole with our new tripod. So this tripod has 4 different heights that you can set it to, and it has slots for screwing into sets, as well as a threaded hole here, which we've been using with a spigot to better secure a shop bag. Now, there's also a slot on each end. And the slots here, well, they're designed for wire or for cable ties so that you can suspend an Omnibar. And the slot is directly in the center of gravity of the fixture so that it will hang vertically when you use that up there. You'll also find slots for cable ties or wire on the back of the fixture, 3 in total on the 2-foot. And if we move closer into the middle, well, these are 2 very strong magnets, which we've been using to attach to scaff pipe or door frames, but you can also use them to quickly throw an Omnibar into an existing fixture housing, such as an LED or fluoro that you might find in an office or in a car park.
Look, that's like... I like all of those features on there. I know it's only attachment points here, but the bracket that they have to hold it as well is, I mean, though, again, if you read my article last week on the Godox bracket, it was awful, absolutely awful. You know, terrible. The bracket thing, yeah. This like that's absolutely terrible, awful. Like, you know, to the point where I didn't feel safe using that above the Talent. Right. This is like some of these stuff they've got here is really nice. As well as they got the hoops on there as well, and they've got like the balanced hole at the top there that you can hang. That so even if you hang it from it hangs straight. It's not on the pierce or anything like that. So look, you know, they've thought about it a lot. Yeah.
At the back of the Omnibar, you'll find a quick release rail for mounting accessories. And the first accessory we have is the Omni Clip. This is a very cheap component. It's only €3 and it just snaps onto the back of the rail like this, which makes it a great little floor stand if I need to mount the Omnibar for some uplighting.
Nice.
But also, because there are holes in the Omni Clip, I can screw them into a wall and then just throw up an Omnibar, say on a piece of set, very quickly. The second accessory we have is the Omni Grip. So this is an aluminium piece and it just drops anywhere onto the back of the bar and clamps like so. Now I have threaded mounting points.
Brilliant.
But we also have the Omni Pin. And this pin has a little quick release safety mechanism. So
this is exactly what I was talking about in my review last week about like this. Like Godox tried to reinvent the wheel, but I think all they did was pull off a bracket or clamp from an existing product and tried to kind of shoehorn it into their new panel. I mean, this is again super fucking nerdy. I get it. Like, come on, Jake, it's just a clamp. But you know, in terms of speed on set and safety and feeling confident that it's not going to go anywhere and it's locked in and it's not just one of those things, you know, where you have to, sometimes you have a bracket and you put it in and you tighten it and then you let go and it droops. So you have to undo it and then tighten it up here so that you can allow it to droop back down to the right place. Stuff like that, right? Whereas this is just locked off and, you know, it's not going anywhere.
I can slide it now onto the back of the Omni Grip and lock the thumb screw. And now I have a standard baby pin, which I can use for all sorts of different rigging. The cool thing with the Omni Grip is that it also has one other use case, which is where you might have a bunch of Omnibar 2s and you wish you had a 4, or you want maybe a 6-foot Omnibar. Well, you can make one by using the Omni Grip in between 2 different bars, clamping, and now I have a single bar.
You see how quick that was? Like, that clamp is brilliant. Absolutely locks it in. Yeah, and it even just holds those two lights just quick as that is crazy.
The nice thing as well, because of the way that the Omnibar is designed, you have very, very small amount of space between the bars when you're connecting them like this. So you can have very smooth transitions between.
So that's something else that's really nice as well, is that you can daisy chain these kind of seamlessly. I have a couple of tubes here from different manufacturers, and you couldn't do this because they have like black bars here, right? Whereas this, like they've thought about this whole thing, right? So you can daisy chain these, especially for packing. You go, well, I don't need, rather than buying 4 foots, I can just buy 2 foots, and then I can just use them like this. Far easier to transport and seem pretty seamless
between bars when you're running effects. Now, the most unique feature of the Omnibars is probably the interchangeable optics, which work in a very similar way to those found on a sky panel. Here we have the round diffuser, which has the widest beam angle and will be very familiar to anyone who's used a tube-style light before. In fact, we expect that the quality of light will be just about the same in most scenarios. The diffuser attaches with 4 strong magnets, so it's very easy to take off but is still secure. And then it's easy to throw on something like the flat diffuser. Now, the flat diffuser tightens up the beam angle ever so slightly, and it's a much lower profile diffuser, so it's easier if you're trying to rig an Omnibar into a set or maybe into an existing light fixture. Now, the most exciting one is definitely the intensifier, which should be very familiar to those of you who've used a sky panel before. The intensifier is going to tighten up the beam angle to 60 degrees so that you have a bit of a spottier source, and it's going to greatly increase the light output. This guy is great if you're trying to push Omnibars through a frame, for example, or if you just need a bit of a harder edge. Now, what's cool is you can also just use the Omnibar as an open face source, which makes it way brighter when you're trying to bounce the Omnibar, or if you're using it, say, built into a set environment where you have the art department providing the diffusion, or if you're using a softbox. Well, speaking of softboxes, how about a soft cylinder? Here we have a lovely air glow lantern.
So these guys
From DO.
These guys have really thought about everything on this, and I love how modular this is with the faces here that you can pop off with the magnets. Like the diffuser is what most of them have, right? The dog's digging the carpet. Apologize, you can hear that. But then swapping it off for those ones that you can kind of focus it and even remove it entirely, which you probably gain an extra stop of light in most situations by removing it, and then him saying what this kind of like the softbox that he brought out, which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah, there you go. Like popping it in there as a softbox, like a little slot softbox. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Here we have a lovely air glow lantern from DOP Choice, and we've already been working with a bunch of accessory manufacturers to make sure that there are accessories available at launch for the Omnibar. Think brands like DOP Choice, Shimera, Lightsock, Honey Crates, and more. There are many different ways to control an Omnibar.
So he just goes into, you know, the app and all that sort of stuff as well, which we all kind of know, and then it goes into the wired ones as well, which is you know, like daisy chaining them and all that sort of stuff there.
Going to be offering the Omnibar in a range of different sets and kits. And as I mentioned, the most economical starting point is the Creator Set for $650.
So yeah, it just talks about the sets and that sort of stuff. Look, I mean, you know, Ari doesn't bring up stuff very often, and look, I think that is an incredibly well-made product. I think it's incredibly well thought out. I think it's clearly been designed by people who use lights, right? Not just by some engineering nerd who never leaves his desk. Like, this is clearly a product that is made by people that use them. There's tons of features on there that seem small, but like, you know, you probably use them all the time. Like the grip, even attaching it rock solid, daisy chaining them without any gaps at all. The magnet faces of them, diffusers, I guarantee we will start to see more and more and more of those tubes coming out with magnet faces and interchangeable diffusers and focusers, and then yeah, I guarantee we'll start to see more of those, because it seems like such an obvious idea, right? Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's just like good product. And it looks, 650 euros is not cheap. It's not cheap, but you have to remember this is coming from Ari, right? I think that's a very reasonable price for Ari. This is, you know, they are not they're not targeting photographers. This is movie sets and that sort of stuff. So I think they got an outstanding product there for sure. Yeah, and you know, I hope it does well for them. Yeah. Make them waterproof and I'm sold. Yeah, what did he say? IP65, I think he said. So like close, but not submerged. Yeah, Robin. Yeah. Were you thinking of using them underwater? I think like Godox makes specific underwater ones as well. I haven't tested them, but yeah. I love my newer TR120C RGB tube lights. Battery lasts forever too. Oh, is it nice, Norm? Okay. I think I've seen those. Yeah. Same photography gear. This is serious sets. Yeah, Vlad's right. Yeah, like I said, this is not for it's just not going to be for photographers just playing around with it and that sort of stuff. It's just serious set building stuff and chaining them and speed and security is paramount in these lights for sure. Yeah, could be money well spent. I don't think it's extortionate. I really don't. And in the photographic world, we're dealing with companies like Profoto. I honestly I don't see Profoto bringing out a tube in the future at that cost. I don't see it. I just don't. So I don't think that this is extortionate for what it is. Is it extortionate money compared to like a newer or Godox one? Yes, of course. But it's not in the same field. So we'll see. Yeah. Really wish the bargain brands I use would switch up the metal parts for the mounts. That's true, Eric. Yeah, that's right. I did notice that whole frame was rock solid. Yeah, I mean, you saw him just click those two lights and just one simple just thumb click, and then he lifted it up from that point and was moving it around, and it looked absolutely solid. It's impressive, man. It's impressive. Yeah, I've had several of the cheapo plastic angle pieces just snap. Really, yeah. Profoto tube equals 3K. Look, I need to be mindful of which side my toast is buttered here. but like nobody's under any illusions that Profoto is cheap. Yeah. I can't look. I can say with certainty that I don't know that Profoto is bringing out any tubes. And I certainly can't say any more, but I will say that we need to keep an eye on what Profoto is looking to bring out in the next couple of months, because LEDs is certainly going to be the future for a lot of these brands. Yeah. I still have Magic Arms from years ago. I still have Hold Solid and Stiff. Oh, Magic! I remember those Magic Arms. Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of share this because I thought this was pretty cool, and like this sort of like the ARRI stuff doesn't make it into our world as photographers at all. Really, it's not even in any of the studios that I've rented. Really, I'm trying to think. I think it's usually been Profoto stuff there and that sort of stuff. So this is phenomenal kit. And maybe at these prices we'll start to see it creep into studios. We'll see. And I would say this is an excellent video by them as well. Yeah, I think this is an excellent video, like straight to the point, all the data there, no fluff, no bell end, holding his little fluffy lapel mic or anything like that. It's just great video. Yeah. Let's check out the comments here. Harry finally seen the light. Yeah. Here we go. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah. Right, we're going to get on to the Set.a.light 3D here in a second. I just want to, close out with, a story, a nice, heartwarming story. Just to give you an idea of this kind gentleman is talking about, or woman is sharing their prompts. What are we doing? Like, what the actual F? It's like, this is the shot that they captured, and then this is the prompt. Save this to your comments, revive, or copy it. I'll send it. Prompts at iPhone. Night photos always fail, but they deserve to be revived. You can try them in Google Gemini. ChatGPT never change the face or background. How to try it. Open Google Gemini. ChatGPT. Add your unsavable. So this piece of shit, unsavable shot, paste the prompt, paste this prompt here, and this is what you get. These are wild times. These are wild times, and there's more of them. I hope you guys are sitting down. What? Revive an old Polaroid. I was looking at that going, that's a Polaroid. These are crazy times. These are crazy times. I was also looking at the comments here, like the top comment from Jess here. Damn, just learn how to use Lightroom like the rest of us. What? Maybe learn how to use a camera. Right, that's the issue. Don't be dragging down Lightroom. Like, maybe learn how to use a camera. Like, what? I understand the sentiment, but we need to be learning how to use a camera first, yeah? That's wild. Yeah. Passed a prompt and I wrote a JPEG so you can copy it. Nice, yeah. Yeah, no, exactly, yeah. Damn, that is scary how good it's getting. Yeah, make a Polaroid look like an iPhone shots. These are good times, man. These are wild times. Yeah. Some of these are priceless, man. Yeah. Now, granted, I presume it only works because of how famous these people are, maybe, right? I mean, there's a trillion images of her, so like it's probably pretty easy. I mean, like, this is it's crazy. I think it's absolutely nuts, man. It's nuts. Have you guys seen that trend where these ladies are putting themselves in like sports games where they're being like recorded on the big screen? So it's just like them sitting in the crowd. And it's just AI generated of them doing it. Yeah, like so weird. It's so weird. Yeah, just maybe go outside. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, this is what they're doing, right? So this is all fake, right? So they upload a picture of themselves and then it puts them on the big screen at a football game. What I want to know is who are these random Asian dudes that they put in around them? It's just like, why are they catching strays? Yeah. What a weird trend, man. What a weird time to be alive. Yeah. Are you sure this is for real? I'm sure. Sadly I am sure, Andre. Yeah. Keep in mind, as a peasant, you can't bring a proper camera into. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So what Vlad's saying there is that you can't bring DSLRs into these venues. I mean, you can take a Leica in there, but yeah. Maybe they looked good, then they made them look bad, and just switched the images. Andre, keep fighting the good fight, my guy. I'm there with you. Look, I'm there. I'll be outside shaking my fist at a cloud right next to you, Andre. Let's keep fighting the good fight. I'm with you. I'm with you. Sadly, I think we're a dying breed. Yeah. Okay. I was an art director, graphic designer, illustrator for years. It's just insane to see what AI is capable of and how fast it's improving. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I have no inclination or desire to test out that prompt, like Vlad said, that 400 words on a JPEG that you can't copy and paste. But yeah, obviously, I have zero inclination to see if it works or not. But I could maybe take this Polaroid that I was just talking about and turn it into another digital photo. Like the irony of what we're doing now is wild. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's have a look. Let's have a look at the Set.a.light 3D here, right? And those of you that aren't aware, Set.a.light 3D is a piece of software that's been around. I've been using version 1 since 2015. It's been around a long time. It's just released version 3. It's tons of pretty impressive updates with it, and I'm going to try and cover at least some of them. But it's used to make these 3D diagrams. I use them to make 3D diagrams of lighting setups to, get an idea of how light's going to work in a set, what kit to use, how much space I've got, can I bring enough equipment, or what kit do I need to use, and is this, how low is the ceiling, all that sort of stuff. There's a million and one things that I use it for, and anybody who's been following my work for a while now knows that I've been using these in all of my lighting techniques and diagrams for, like I said, over 10 years now. 2015 is when I started using it. So the latest version they brought out, version 3, you're kind of seeing a lot of cinema stuff here, right? So, for most of us, we kind of be, using the actual, strobes and bits and pieces like that. But we're starting to see more LEDs coming in. These guys have brought in a bunch of LED lights into the program now as well. But you start to see this motion and that sort of stuff that they've added in version 3. Does anybody here use Set.a.light 3D already? Has anybody heard of it or used it or got it or tested it even? Yeah. I still think that people will still want human side of photography, like the interaction. Also, people want capture the real moments and solve real problems for clients. Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. No, and you're right. I think it's also cheaper to hire us than it is to use. Use some of these AI programs now. Yeah. The cost of memory and that sort of stuff. Yeah. You've used it. Okay, nice. Do you use it often, like on shoots or pre-shoots and that sort of stuff, or like for clients? Because I've used it for all of the above, really. Space in Brand says used it a couple of times. Okay. So I just want to show you a couple of things that I've kind of used it for here. I got put together a couple of bits here. So one of the things, right, I'll use it for briefs, right, client briefs and that sort of stuff, or styling and that sort of stuff. So this was for Rotor-Light a while ago, and really just using it to, I apologize if you can hear my dog snoring, using it to kind of go over what lights are going to be used in the space, right? So something like that. Another thing here, this was one for Pro Photo recently, right? So everything's kind of mapped out. Everybody knows what's involved, what kit we need, the space we need, all that sort of stuff, right? And then this is sent to the client, and then that's all signed off, right? So all of that is done ahead of time. The other one here is going to be space, right? So I would use it for this. I was asked to do a demo at the photo show, and they wanted X, Y, and Z, and I was like, what space do we have on the stage? And they were like, well, this is the size of the stage. I'm like, you need to temper your expectations. Look at the space that we have, and what is the reality of where we're going to put the kit and that sort of stuff. So, do we, does it mean that we have to shoot, on the side like this, or or we need to change what lights we're going to use and all that sort of stuff. So again, showing clients that, like, the space that they've got, and trying to be realistic with what we can do with that space helps a huge amount, right? Because in people's minds they go, oh yeah, it's big, tons of space. It's not, once we've got, like, the light stands out and all that sort of stuff, and then we need the model away from the light, or so it's, it starts to add up, right? So let me see, what else have I got here? I got this one. Oh, this is recently, yeah. So this is with mentoring with a guy doing boudoir and looking at the space that they've got. This was done in version 3. We start because version 3 has atmosphere in it, so you can kind of bring in this haze and stuff. So you can kind of use them to kind of build the spaces, and what can you do with the spaces that you have. I think is one of the things that I use it for a huge amount, right? And trying to explain that to clients. Yeah. What do we got here? Let's have a look. So this was a salon shoot I did end of last year, and I was kind of curious as to the space, right? So not only with the space, but what. So I was going to have to shoot on location. So a lot of hair shoots are just because you have huge teams, and you don't want to bring the salon to the studio. You tend to bring the studio to the salon, right? Because the hair is being, you got this conveyor belt of hair being done in the salon, and so for the most part, you're doing a lot of these hair shoots in the salons themselves. So I was like, right, you need to send me some shots, and now I'm going to take these images and trying to, then I'll put it into the Set.a.light 3D and see what's possible. What's becoming something that I'm aware of is when I'm using LEDs for a lot of my setups now, I really don't use flash, and I shot this with LED, but I was concerned about the amount of daylight that we had in this space. So I was like, can I see some pictures of the windows that you have? Can we cover them? What's it like? You know, which way are we facing, and all that sort of stuff, right? So again, like these are the images that I got sent, the space that we've got. Cool. Okay, this will make more sense in a minute when I bring these other ones up. Yeah. And Brez used a couple of times. Vlad says, comment, anyone who watched 2 of your stream heard about Set.a.light before? Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I use it all the time. Yeah. That's the virtual production one. Let me just see if I can find. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, that was the stuff I was doing for the space. Okay, well let's just open it up. Let's just open it up. Now, in the past, the stream has kind of lagged a little bit. Let's just see if we can get away with it. So we've got version 3 here. I'm going to open it up. So when you open it up, you've got 2 choices. You've got your indoor studio now, and you've got your outdoor studio. So this is like for the film sets, and this is huge. The scope on this, the outdoor stuff is wild, right? So this is what we got here, right? So I'm going to open the... I'm going to open the... Let's have a look. Let's have a look. This one. Let's see. Okay, so this is the salon that I was just showing you, right? So this is the salon that I was just showing you, and this is what we got here. I'm going to try and bring this over a little bit. Can we... You're not really missing anything too much there. I'll bring it over a little bit. There you go. You're not really missing too much there. Okay, so like this is the salon, right? So I've rendered it in there. The other thing that's useful about this is, again, I'm like, okay, so we've got everything in there. What can we do with all the chairs, right? Do we have room? Because like that, there's a tiny little door at the back of the place here, and it just goes out into, I was like, we can't really take the chairs out, so can I do what I need to do with the stuff that's in there? So we got all these headrests and chairs. We got the chilling chair down here, and the table that they had that actually was a wooden pallet, right? And you got the mirrors. So like I've covered these mirrors here just because I know that when I'm working in a salon, that's what I would need to do, is cover the mirrors, because light's bouncing around everywhere. It's kind of a pain. And then this is the background, right? And these are the windows out here, right? Now, what's kind of interesting in the latest version, right? And I'm just going to come down here, and down here is all the stuff that we're using in the studio. So I am just going to turn off this group, which is basically the backdrop that I was going to bring in, the backdrop that I shot these images against. I'll just quickly show you the shoot just for context in case you don't remember it. It was these images here, right? So I made this painted backdrop and brought that into the shoot, and here you go. This is what we were using, right? So blocked out the windows there, and this is the backdrop that we'll be using. Okay. Now, I didn't have version 3 at the time, because it's come out. So I kind of opened this up last night, and I was like, I'm kind of curious because it now has this outside world environment, right? So like out here is the real world, as it were, right? So you can input whatever you want back here. So for example, we've got these scenes here. I was kind of playing around with bringing in some of my own, but you got these environments here, right, where you kind of got the city, you got your beach, and you just got your regular urban landscape, as it were, right? You can bring that in. Okay, why would I need that? Well, with this newer version, you can actually put in the latitude and longitude of the space, right? And then make sure you've got the north pointing the right way, which is what I did. So I just went on Google Maps, worked out which way the studio is pointing, right? And then what you can then do is you can put the date in as well for time of year in terms of, summer, winter, and all that sort of stuff. And then what you can do is you can kind of look to see like when that daylight coming through those windows is going to be a pain in the ass. So you see here, what are we, like 11:30 in the morning, starting to creep in there now, right? And you can see it coming through the windows here. And then, it's kind of gone again by like 4 o'clock. And that is exactly what happened on the day. So it's really well thought out now. Version 3 has a lot of little things like this that kind of all add up. And look, you think, Christ, that's a bit niche, Jake. Like, but I was surprised at how reactive it was and how accurate it was as well. I mean, because you're just pulling data, right? But yeah, as long as you can actually work out which way is north for the studio, and then there you go, right? So and which was right. We didn't have a problem in the morning, and then this was kind of coming across and like direct sunlight. If it had been non-direct all day, it's a huge difference between having direct sunlight punching through onto a backdrop, because you could just have a white backdrop there and it not be an issue. But direct sunlight coming through on something is a real pain, right? Is a real pain, yeah. So and then we can just cover that up here, whatever it is, yeah. So I can just bring the backgrounds back in and that sort of stuff, right? Now you can either just turn off. So I've got all my lights down here. I've just put them all in the group. I can just turn them all off, right? So it's just that. And let's come back in here. Let's have a look. So now we can see, how much that daylight is kind of affecting, whatever time, right? Yeah. So, which is kind of cool, and come in there and you can see how much more it's affecting now. Another really interesting feature with the latest version is it's got a light meter, which we can see here, right? So we can bring a light meter in now, which is kind of wild, right? We can bring that in. Let's just bring this up here. Boom, there you go. You can start to see it on the shot there, right? We can bring it across here, so and obviously we can turn this to be looking out through the window, and then we get our value. I mean, it shows you like f11 here, but what does that equate to? So it equates to 125th ISO 100 f11. Now, in fairness to this, it has no idea whether it's going to be cloudy or not, right? You don't know how it can't give you an exact example of how bright the day is going to be here, but it kind of gives you an idea, right? When it's hitting direct sunlight on that light meter, we can see f11 there, right? And then as that passes through, right, and it's not getting direct sunlight, it drops off dramatically, right? So what, 2.8 to f4, 5.6, f8, 11. So we're like kind of dropping 4 stops of light from pounding light coming through, and then as it comes off and not getting direct sunlight, kind of losing 4 stops of light there. This is not going to be accurate. You can't just walk in and go, right, it's going to be f11 out that window. It's just giving you an idea, right? It has no idea as to how cloudy it is and all that sort of stuff, but it can give you a little bit of knowledge to kind of like, okay, how viable is this, right? Which it works pretty seamlessly. Yeah. Okay, let's have a look. We've got some questions here. We got coming here. So Robin says, yeah, such a great program. I do have a giggle at the model quality of the people. Feels very late 90s animated, so I can't unsee it. Okay, fair enough. I mean, they've got, so let's have a look at that. And Robin says, what about different skin tones? Okay, let's have a look at that then. Let's have a look what we got here, because I have added a bunch of new models here now. So we've got, I think, like version 2, I don't know, I had like 6 people or something like that, and now we've got loads of them, right? We've got tons of different models here. So we've even got children, babies, and we've even got some pets down here as well. So yes, we have different skin tones here as the base model. You can, if we just click on our model here, we can change the skin tone here as well. So if we like, I really like the way this model looks, but we can change the skin tone here as well, right, of the actual model themselves. So we put the lights back on, boom, yeah. So we can kind of put the lights on and change the skin tone. We can also change the skin tone here as well. We can kind of fine tune it as well. Yeah. Now, like to Robin's point there about like the model quality and that sort of stuff, is you got to remember that we're not generating 3D assets to be, for like CGI in movies. We're really just doing this like previs, storyboarding, or spaces and that sort of stuff. So like although I hear Robin's point, as soon as the polygons on these models go up to make them look even more realistic, it's obviously going to start slowing things down and that sort of stuff as well. So I think it's, swings and roundabouts with it. The other thing as well is that we have tons of different outfits and stuff now. So what do we got? So we got, I don't know, socks if you want different socks. We got tons of different outfits up here as well now. So, and you just click and it just changes it. Job done, right? Let me put the let me close the curtains. So we got tons of different outfits in here as well. And like for a lot of these, you can kind of either break them apart as well, so you can kind of add a jacket to whatever it is. It also has the ability to kind of avoid this clipping. I forget where it is. Shine to the hem shine. So you can there's a slider in here somewhere that enables you to grow the jacket to avoid this clipping. I forget where it is. Prevent overlap. Here you go. So there you go. So you can kind of pop it in there as well. Yeah, that's kind of cool. So you got tons of different. So you can wear whatever you want underneath that. Yeah. So you got all those options, and then you can change the color of everything as well. All right. And again, that prevent overlap thing can help with that. So you've got tons of the clothing options. You can also change. So like this leather jacket here as well. You guys know me, love a bit of baby oil or going to shine something up. So you can also change the shine on all these things as well, which is nice. You can do that with the skin as well. Let me just come back here. So we can change the shine on the skin, right? You guys know that I love a bit of baby oil on the skin, so it gives you the option to do that. If you guys can see it there, I'll just switch it in here so you can see it. So very matte or very shiny. If I just, obviously you've got all the hairstyles and you can change all the color of those and everything like that. So pretty powerful. And you got all the makeup now. There's loads of makeup and stuff now. Oh, I can't come back to here. So let's take the jacket off and let's put her in this so we can actually start to see a bit more shine on the skin there. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Change the, what shoes she's wearing, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And like I said, makeup, eyebrows, like there's tons and tons and tons of more options now compared to version 2. Yeah. Got the poses in here as well, so that's kind of cool. You just click on these and you get different poses straight away, right? So there's a couple of weird things going on here, right, where she's like kind of cranking around, and that's because you can change where she's actually looking, right? So here I've got it set to eyes are always to the camera, this little thing here, and here we can turn the head to the camera, or we can turn the head away and then turn the eyes off so she's looking straight forward, so she's not kind of cranking the neck around. Yeah. Let's have a look. Different skin tones. You share some of the sets in the community. I mean, I don't share the downloads, but I just tend to screen grab the techniques and pop them, and then have them as part of the. So like here, for example. But I suppose I could do. I could look at doing that if that was something that people were interested in. Yeah, I didn't realize that was something that people were curious about. I don't know if I have a lighting diagram in that one, but. Yeah, some of these, here you go. It's bound to be in this one. There you go. So yeah, so I'm using it here to kind of show what the different lights are doing. And I'll be honest, I'm just using this like the screenshot function. Yeah. But I like for training and stuff, I use it all the time. Yeah. So what you could do, let me see. So I don't use it as it's intended. Like I said, I just normally use it as a as a, you know, screenshot, and then boom, job done, right? But you've got all the different kind of renders up here, and then you can kind of do the plans. Let's see, where's this snap thing? I don't, like I said, I don't use it as intended. Yeah. Snap. Okay, so that takes an image that we've set up there, right? So if we were like, okay, cool, let's try something else now, let's turn it around, we can get another snap, boom, and that just takes a shot, as it were. So let's see. Low res preview, we got the plans, and then we can create a new JPEG plan. So I've never used this before, actually. Like I said, I normally just screenshot it. Yeah, add to plan. There you go. Simple as that. So you just click on the image, and then it gives you that there. Okay. That's pretty cool. Yeah, okay. So you can adjust that as well. Okay, yeah. So if you just wanted a simple plan like that, you can do. Okay. And you've got a 3D version down here as well that you can kind of tweak before. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Clever. Okay. Yeah. So you can do that if you want. Like I said, I normally just screenshot it and then add my own labels like you've seen. Yeah. So we'll see. Let's see. Let's open a different project. Let's have a look. So let's go. What we got? Yes, this was a studio shoot a while ago. Let's open up that one. Okay, so this was a studio shoot, and I was just trying to get the space, right? So you probably saw me sharing this in the story the other day. So I was trying to work out the space, right? So let's just come back here and look at how I would go about doing that. And this, you guys are going to look at this and go, "There ain't no way I'm doing that, Jake. It's no way," right? So I'm just kind of grabbing sizes off screenshots from the internet, right? So the studio, it's got images online, and I'm just going to work out the sizes. So like doors are a standard size, and from doors and windows and like tiles, they're going to be like standard sizes, right? I also know this is a 4 meter backdrop, so boom, straight away you can kind of piece together how big the room is, right? Because it doesn't give you the dimensions, and like you think, oh my god, Jake, I'm not doing that. It doesn't take that long. It really doesn't, right? So again, here I'm just trying to work out how big this planter thing is here, right? Because that's this one here. There's this planter here, so I'm trying to work out how big that is in the space, right? So I'm just taking these shots from the internet, and let's have a look. So we've got another angle here, working out how long this wall is. Again, doors are a standard size, pretty quick to work out. Boom, there we go. So easily work out how long this section is, right? And then just quickly roughing it out. Okay, and then you can get that data into the software, and you can quite quickly build the space that you have, right? So once I got the space, then I can start making these sets and work out where I can put stuff and that sort of stuff. So let's open up one of those. So file, open project, lying in chair, broadly set, boom. Okay, so now we're starting to play around with this now. Right, so we got our set here. We can see what's going on. Zoom in and everything, and then everything is going to be like labeled down here, right? So we got all the different pieces. This is for the entire studio, right? But so you've got all that, and because I've built the room, I can now kind of let's see. Mirror shot, yeah. So the mirror shot, she's over there. Boom, it's over there, right? So it's that, looking at that one. And then we've got, I think we had on ladder. I don't think I actually did this because the ladder was too heavy for me to lift on my own at the time. But yeah, again, so there she is up there. Yeah. Kind of a shame I didn't get to do that. It was kind of a cool shot. It's a really cool shot, but Yeah, just didn't quite have the because this ladder, if you recall, is kind of leaning up in here somewhere. Yeah, I was going to use this. It weighed a ton. I couldn't kind of get it over there in a safe manner because I had to get it past all these things and that sort of shit. I was like, fuck. It was heavier than I thought. But the point is, you're kind of taking these ideas from the scene, and then you're kind of bringing them into Set.a.light 3D, and you're kind of building these ideas before you even get there, right? Let me see if I can find that shoot, like the actual resulting images. Well, here we go. There we go. So this is the chair shot you just saw, right? So you saw her, lying in the chair. Sat down on the chair. That's in there. So this was all kind of pre-vised and set up before we got there. Because we did a huge amount in a very short space of time. This is the mirror shot you saw me talking about there, right? So again, spacing and that sort of stuff. And then, so this will be the, sat on the kitchen counter here, which we had on the opposite side, which is down here. So she sat here on this counter with those stools. I think I've got a scrim on that side. That's why it's getting in the way. But yeah, so she's sat there on those ones there. Yeah, and then just putting some lights in the other room, and then it kind of coming through. But all of this is pre-vised before you get there. It helps with working out what kit you need to take, space, size, ceiling heights, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah. But yeah, I mean, I know it seems like a lot of work, but once it's done, then you can start playing. I would far rather go in there to maximize the time that I have, rather than, I saw a very well-known guy doing a shoot in a bar, and it took him like all afternoon to set up one shot. Whereas if I've pre-vised it out before I get there, I can get 3 or 4 different setups within that same space in the same amount of time, because I'm like, I know where everything's going. I've got the shots on my phone. Boom, set this up. This goes here, and then we can get, you can be very, very fast with it. Yeah. Looks like a great tool for planning out shots ahead of time. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And these get sent off to clients, right? These images get sent off to clients. It gets signed off. They're happy with it. They can visualize it. They know what's going to be moved. Like a salon. It's like, okay, we've got to move these chairs before I get there and all that sort of stuff. So all those chairs were moved out of the way and all that sort of stuff. You can get everybody's singing from the same song sheet, as it were. Yeah. Honestly, the most impressive thing is the streaming not lag anymore. I know, Vlad. I know it was because this is the only piece of software that whirs up the fan. So I'm glad it's been good. Yeah. It's probably been optimized in this version, maybe. Yeah. It's cheaper than pushing tripods around a model for 2 hours, providing you have paid a model. Exactly, photo. Yeah, exactly. Right, and that's it. It's about maximizing the time that you have with somebody. Because I think I only had 3 hours in that studio. I think the model had to go. That's right. She had, I won't go into it, but the model had to go. So I had 3 hours in that studio. And I got a lot of great images, complex images, 5 or 6 lights in some of these. Got a lot done in a short space of time. There's no way I would have been able to get, these shots all locked down as quickly as I did. I think some of these are the old Bowen's Esprits as well. So it really is about maximizing that time. Yeah. I see any Jake Hicks outfits. Jake Hicks outfits. Do you mean lingerie and baby oil? Is that what you mean? Yeah. Much better than setting out with my little mannequin head. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Question: how long does it take you to build one room in here? How long does it take to build a room? I think once you've done it a few times, I think that's really the key, right? Once you've done it a few times and you know what assets are available, it's really fast. So this is one of the most recent ones that I did here. Let's see. yeah, so this was a guy's studio, and it's like, okay, I got the measurements, and again, they were like the brick wall. So I googled how long is a standard red brick, and then I count the bricks, and then boom, you get the measurements. Once you get these measurements in place, just throwing this stuff in is super quick, right? Sometimes it can be fiddly getting the windows in here, but for most of us, we're not really using windows working in the studio, so it's not an issue. So once doing this, something like this, which is like a regular bedroom, takes you, I don't know, 15 minutes or something. There are real mirrors in the assets. Yes, I think there are. Yeah. So let's have a look at that. Like, there was so many things I wanted to kind of talk about here. I actually had a list of things I wanted to cover written out. So light meter, we've spoken about that. Measurements. Okay, yeah, so we can talk about that in the new one as well. So let's have a look here. Zoom out here a second. I need to get better at this. Yeah. So you've got some features up here as well. Let's pop that in there for a second. So we've got some features up here as well. So we got one of the new ones is going to be measurement tool, right? So we can go, and I haven't really used this, so hopefully I get it right. Yeah, there we go. Nice. Okay. So you can, oh, interesting. Okay. So yeah, so you can work out how far away that light is from her, right? And it locks at different areas as well. Right, so you can go, okay, how far is the light from like the wall as well? So you can really, and then you can kind of, and you can like screenshot that and all that sort of stuff, or and you can keep going. How far away is the light from her, or how far away is the light, up here to her feet and all that sort of stuff. So, like the measurement tool, like if you're a nerd like me, is a nice addition. You can turn those off and on as you see fit as well. And again, it just helps. I've worked in studios, or I've gone to help people in studios in the past, and basically I'll get called in as a consultant, as it were, to, hey Jake, this is our studio, can you come in and show us some kind of creative lighting setups that we can do with our space and our kit? And I would go in and do that, and then what I would do is, because you have a staff there of like maybe 5 or 6 photographers at kind of all different skill levels, what I would do is I would create these diagrams, and I would really make it foolproof, right? By putting in all the measurements. Okay, this is where that light needs to be. If you want to recreate this shot every day, exactly the same, then this light has to be 2.5 feet away from the background, and it has to be 4 feet from the model. So this tool here is, very useful at being able to kind of include that spacing for people who maybe need the little bit of extra help. What else did I have there? So we've got the measurements, make your own light. Yeah, so this is really cool. Let's bring up some of these new lights that this new version has got as well. Now, it's worth bearing in mind that there are 3 versions of Set.a.light. You have the basic version, you have the kind of what I would class as like the photographer version, then you have the video version, right? I'll just quickly show you those in case you're not sure. Pricing, here we go. So we've got the basic version, and we've got the studio version, and we've got the cinema version. So I've got the cinema version here. If you already own Set.a.light, remember, you don't have to buy the whole thing again. There is an upgrade fee. You just go in here and click on this, and it's like, I think the upgrade is, I don't know, like $60 or something like that. But you need to check. And this is where I think most of us need to be, right? If you want to do any of the cool pans and swoops and all that extra stuff, then great, get this. There is a ton of extra features in there if you wanted to get into filmmaking, or more detailed sets outside with more continuous lights. Fine. For most of us, we're going to be here, and you can look at what's included down here with each of them, right? I would honestly say, if you're going to get it, I would try and get this next one. This is kind of limited to 5 lights, and this is where you want to be. But I'm looking at the cinema one here, and we got a bunch. I've starred these because these are the ones that I kind of use the most at the top here. All my favorites are at the top here. We've got flash, continuous, So they've got different brands in here. So we're talking about Arri, right? They got Arri in here. We got the got some of the Nolans now as well. They've even brought in the Nan lights. They've got the Pavo Slims in here as well. I can't tell you which lights are not included in the photographer one versus the cinema one, but I know the cinema one has more LEDs. If I'm being honest, I don't think that affects us too much. Let's just say that there were no LEDs included in the photographer one, and it was just flashes. That's not the case, but let's just say that was the case, and we just had flashes. It's going to give us the same result, right? We can bring in a flash here, boom, right? Oh, take that off turn that off. So we can bring our flash in here, and we can still change it to all the different colors with gels and all that sort of stuff, right? So we can still do all the things that an LED light can do. We can also change the modifier on that. You see that over here, we've got the reflector dish. We can just pop on all the different modifiers, same as you would do on an LED, right? You got the different powers of strobes here. Again, less relevant in the program. Also, we can change all the tripods, the C stands, and booms and all that sort of stuff here. So we can do all of that, which is a nice extra feature as well in the new one. So you can use booms in here, right? Which is cool. So you got all these new stands in here in the new one. You got all these big beefy boys. So you got a bunch of new ones like that. So if there wasn't continuous ones in the photographer one, I don't think it's going to affect you too much, right? But as far as I'm aware, you do get a smaller selection of them anyway. Yeah, but I would need to get a full list. So one of the things, let's just quickly, as soon as we're here, we go over some of the equipment. We got the cameras and stuff, right? We spoke about the light meter. We've also got scrims, which I use a lot. I use scrims all the time. So this is way more comprehensive than previous versions. Previous versions was this scrim panel before here, right? And really the only customization you had on it was being able to change the size of it here, right? So like this is all these different scrims and stuff is a big improvement. The other thing that's nice as well is we now have V-flats, which is huge, because V-flats weren't, you had to kind of fudge them together with reflectors in the past. So you can kind of turn these, and you can open them, close them. You can have black V-flats, white V-flats. So that's kind of cool. That's a new one. Obviously you got your regular shooting tables and shoes and that sort of stuff. Yeah. I've got a version which you can, I don't know whether this is in the normal version, but in mine you can upload 3D objects. So I just went on, it's like .3ds or something like that. I just went and Googled free .3ds stack of books for a recent shoot that I did. Boom, popped it in there, and then I just have a stack of books. Quick as that. Obviously we need to scale that down, but so these are locked, so yeah, I can just scale it all down. So yeah, so you can just bring in these 3D assets, and a lot of them you can change the color of as well, right? All different colors and that sort of stuff. So importing different 3D assets now is kind of cool. So I did like a vase of flowers and stuff was in the background. So I just, again, free .3ds flowers, boom, uploaded it. Good to go. Yeah. So somebody in chat very kindly mentioned that we have mirrors, which is true. This has been in there for a while, having the mirrors in there, which is cool, right? And again, you can change the frame color and the width. I think you can do ones without frame, round ones, all that sort of stuff, which is nice. Yeah. So tons of assets in there. Impressed with your build. Recognize the studio from the built model. Really, Paul? No way. That's funny, man. That's funny. Yeah. I forgot what it's called now. What's it called? I don't know. Because we used the studio next door for the recent Pro Photo campaign. It was Shutterhouse Studios. I think this is the Greenhouse. Yeah, I think this is Greenhouse. Yeah. If only the real V flats would stay nice and flat like that. Mine, I know, right, man? I know. Yeah, that's true. It's because you try and take care of them, but they just get they do just get scuffed, and I swear I've got clean hands when I use them, but yeah, they just get kind of ruined real quick. Yeah. Okay. Greenhousey, yeah, true. Let's have a look at what else we got here. Let's see. I know I was going to show you that I used Set.a.light for recently. Let me show you this. This is kind of cool. So I actually used Set.a.light 3D to build a light box, right? And I built the light box in Set.a.light 3D, and then I don't think I've got the actual. Oh, that's annoying. Yeah, I don't think I've got the actual file here, but it'll probably be on my desktop. Everything that's yellow here is a thumbnail for Set.a.light 3D, and this is my desktop. So I just want to give you some idea as to how much I use this. If I get an idea of a lighting setup, I will open this up and just fire it away, and then I just dump it on the desktop. So this is like dan. This is like this was lighting used in a recent anime. I came in here, opened this up, and was just like, yeah, I could see that. So just putting together lighting diagrams as like a doodle type thing is actually more realistic than you'd think. Yeah. I don't think I've got the box, which is annoying, but that's fine. I can show you the final results here. Livestream, Set.a.light 3D, Lightbox measurements. Yeah, here we go. So I made this in Set.a.light, right? And based it on. I've got some Rotalight Titan X1s here. So I based this on using that sizing to create this box, and I literally gave these designs with measurements to a carpenter. So I hired a carpenter, and he went away, based off these designs, built this box, right? And I'm just using Set.a.light 3D alone to do this, right? So working out the sizing, the width, also trying to work out how big it needs to be to take somebody's full body weight and that sort of stuff, right? And then the carpenter delivers the box, right? Boom, simple as that. So from Set.a.light 3D to reality, so those are the Titan X1s in there, right? To reality, right? Which is really cool. And then got some. These are some I've shot with it since then, but yeah. So I use this program for a variety of things, right? So it's not even just about building the sets and that sort of stuff, or playing around with what each light does and that stuff. I actually use it all the time for a variety of different things. Yeah. Can it help with figure out shutter speed and ISO, etc. For a rain setup? I have a sprinkler set, and getting lighting where I want fake rain is a pain. If you mean, does it help with working out how fast the shutter speed would need to get rain crisp? Is that what you're asking me? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Preferred any set, greenhouse, bathroom. It's kind of annoying. What is that light? Yeah, annoying. Okay. I thought it'd be cool if I had the file of the light box, but I don't think I do, which is annoying. Oh, here we go. Oh, nice. Oh no, that's how bad could it be? Let me just. Oh, I do have it. Nice. Okay, yes, this is the box, right? This is the box. Okay, cool. So yeah, so everything's in there, right? And then you just got your individual panels here, and so this is the width, right? So all the sizes and stuff were input in here for the box. Even got the perspex top, remove that, What you can't see at the moment is the Titans in there. So these are the Titan lights that were actually in there at the moment, right? But they were kind of faked. What in version 3 they've got now is that you can actually build your own light and size, which is, I absolutely love this feature, right? So down here, we've got area light, right? So double click on that and it gives you this panel, this light that we can then adjust the size of, right? And the power and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know what those Titans were. Let's just say they are, what, 0.35. Yeah, by 0.35, boom. Okay, and then we can bring them in here. Let's see. You can change the angle of this. Let's get this. Let's just do this properly. So I don't need to do that. I still get this. I choose the wrong one every time. So let's get this going straight up. Right, and we can get this coming straight down. If you want, you can always switch to the top view here, which you can see, and then I can move it, boom, in there, and then grab these arrows and put it down. Right. So again, you can do that, and then I can just come down here, duplicate that light, pop, and then I just grab one over here, bring it across. Now these actually emanate light, right? You can make that any shape you want, which is, I know it sounds super nerdy, but super useful. So now I can, I can now put my model back on there. Are any of these? Let me just put my model back on there. Where is she? There she is. Boom. Right. Yeah. So we've got different ones down there. I'm trying to work out which ones. We've got the reflectors. Yeah. So we can turn these lights off. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. So we can turn these lights off here, turn that light off, and bring this camera around here to the front. And you can angle it here with the arrows, or you can angle it in here with the tilts and that sort of stuff. So you've got the pitch, so we can angle it up here. You can see the resulting image over there. And you can change the focal length of everything like that, right? So you've got your focal length and all your bits and pieces like that. Now, because I'm terrible at naming things, one of these is top perspex. I did name it. I never doubted it. So yes, we got the lights underneath, right? And then we can just turn this on. If you hit S, it just turns all the other lights off in the set and just leaves that one light on. So now with this on S, I can kind of bring this light and kind of angle it onto our subject's face here. We can go, you know what, spreading a light around the room. How about we put a grid on that, open it up a little bit, even wider, boom, you can see the resulting thing here. Just give it a little bit more juice there. Cool. Right, now when we turn that off, and we can adjust the power of all those lights underneath there as well. But yeah, having these lights and then being able to just turn and see what each light is doing, very, very useful, right? Very, very useful. Yeah. Sort of getting the raindrops to actually show up in the shot. Gotcha. Yeah, probably need to just play around with the mannequin and take notes. Yeah. So there's actually more going on to that, Eric, than first meets the eye. And one of the reasons is going to be if you're using Flash, there's going to be a curve, right? A power drop off curve, and each Flash is going to have a different version of that. If you really want to capture droplets, just pin sharp, then you can use high speed sync, which is very popular now. If you don't have high speed sync on your flashes, sometimes turning your flash all the way down gives you less power, but it means that flash is being visible for a shorter period of time. So it's got nothing to do with the shutter speed. It's really to do with how fast your actual flash is. The Einstein Alien B lights, they're only really very available in the US. You can actually pick them up on eBay for not very expensive. They have a very fast flash speed. They're not expensive, but they're incredibly quick. So a lot of still life shooters use those for that reason. Speed lights as well can be pretty good. They actually have a very short flash duration, and that will freeze the droplets. Yeah. Hi everyone. If your custom built box was the top material made for the glass or something else, nice, need to hold a body weight. Yeah. So this was Perspex, and again, I did some research at the time as to, okay, let's just say like 10 stones, right? The model is not going to be 10 stones, but I was working out like that, 10 stones, and then trying to work out how thick the Perspex needed to be to hold that weight if it was secured around, all the way around on all 4 edges. And then from that, you can get the data online and work out how thick the Perspex needs to be. So mine was about 50 mil, and like you could jump up and down on that thing. Like 50 mil is more than enough. Yeah. So it's not glass. And then I've just added. I bought diffusion film from Lee, and I just cut up like 3 or 4 sheets of diffusion film, and I've put that underneath it. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you can kind of do that data yourself, which wasn't too bad to get. Yeah, I mean, I take the piss out of Chat GTP, but you could probably, I would definitely verify it. That thing is not always right, but you can certainly get a rough idea. Yeah, so the reason I mentioned that is because this lip here was played. This lip, this flange that you see around the outside, so that played a part in how much weight I could put in the middle there, right? Because if you just have a tiny flange and then you just sit on it, a little bit of movement, you're just going to pop down through the middle. So this is like 2 centimeters all the way around. The thing is absolutely rock solid, yeah, which is great, yeah, which is great. Yeah, but you're right to ask that. So yeah, to hold the body weight, and like the models were pretty sus, but so I just stood on the middle of it and was like, I stood both feet on the middle. The other thing as well was, I don't have the image here, but I was like, it's in plan so when I was working out the weight and how much weight it could take, I was working it out on the model line across it, because that was the pose that I wanted, something like this, right? As soon as she got on there, she went up on her tiptoes in the middle, 2 feet in the middle. I'm just like, thank Christ, it's rock solid, because yeah, that's not what I'd anticipated. Immediately went and posed like squatted on her tiptoes. Cool shot, but I was like, fuck, yeah. But no, it's absolutely locked off. Yeah, yeah. Sure, I couldn't jump. Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah. So that's that one. I just open up one more here. This was one recently, or last year I think, and this was interesting because this was extremely tight space, and this is where this program kind of comes into its own, where you have like extremely tight spaces like this, and you're trying to work out lighting and how you can possibly fit it in there, because all very well having all this, I'm like, well, what about the light stands, right? Where can I put the light stands, right? So this is the space that I had, and like we're seeing more and more of this kind of boudoir in hotel bathrooms or hotel bedrooms and that sort of stuff, Airbnbs. How can we use the space to our advantage? And I'm certainly put hotel rooms from online into Set.a.light 3D and worked out space that way as well. Again, like things like you get used to working out scales, right? So bathroom tiles are all the same size. You can kind of scale it up. You just count how many tiles there are on the wall. Boom, how wide the wall is in the shot. Let me just go over any more notes here. So LED lights, yep. Make your own lights. So I kind of showed you that. You could size that. The V flats, yep, we saw that. LED lights. So talking about some of the lights that we have in here, I kind of went over those. It's useful to have the panels, the LED panels. We got different bars and stuff here. And they've even got the tubes in here as well, which is cool. You see me using the tubes in this set here. If you're curious, the final shot It's on Instagram, I think. Oh, it's not Instagram, but that will get me there. Where was it? Further ago than I thought. As always. Here you go. Here you go. So that's the final shot there, right? So, I mean, like, did we do one into the mirror? No. I think I did do one, but I was using the Pets full lens, yeah. But, I mean, pretty close, man. Pretty close. Like, pretty good. Pretty good. This is the thing that, yeah, that was shared as well. Right, so yeah, there you go. It's reality, right? There you go. Yeah, that's crazy. Okay, yeah, I forgot about that. So you got this light coming in there, popping up in there. We got the tube there, and we got the light up there. Okay, granted, I was pretty ambitious with a C stand over there, but it worked. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, you know, it's not just a bit of fun. Like it certainly saves a lot of time and stress for sure. Yeah. What else we got here? LED lights, plans for softbox here, went over that. Client briefs, I showed you those. So, you know, those get sent off to clients as well. New film presets. Oh, yeah, just quickly go over that. So, over here, I'll just bring this over a little bit so you guys can see it. So, over here, we got the final image, and then we have this function here, which we can come in and we can adjust. Because at the moment, this is really showing you the raw, right? But we have some settings here where we can adjust the different bits. We also have kind of film emulation stuff there as well, so you can kind of apply different film grades on there if you want, and you can kind of dial that back if you're like, oh yeah, okay. So you got little bits in there, like, you know, it's cool if you want to just have a clearer idea of this mock-up image here, you know, for the client and that sort of stuff. You can give them a rough idea of, you know, the color grade that you're thinking about before you do it. Fine, cool. So there's that function in there as well, which is cool. You also got the histogram and stuff if you need it. You can also shoot, you know, landscape, portrait, that sort of stuff. Focusing as well. I didn't know this until recently, but you can literally grab this focusing node and pull it to like the eyeball. So you just grab it and pull it onto the eyeball, which is cool. Yeah. New film presets, mist, haze, filters. Okay, so this is something that I was having to kind of jerry rig before. So what you're maybe not picking up on here is that this is kind of cloudy here, hazy, right? And what you're not seeing is I'm faking it here with this translucent piece of material. That's what's doing that. So it's just a miniature picture wall of a gradient that I've added, and that's what's adding that kind of haze. Because we didn't have haze or atmosphere or anything like that until version 3, right? So, good news is that we now, if we come up to the environment thing, I just clicked on the compass here, or you can just click outside and it'll bring up the environment. So now we have the ability to add fog and haze, right? So now we can kind of dial it in. There's smoke in the room and that sort of stuff. So now it's far easier to just dial it up. So now we can have that on if we want, or off. Right, and as somebody mentioned before, this is a mirror from the assets as well. Right. So you can kind of bring in some steam, or, you know, smoke or haze and that sort of stuff, and that's really useful with lights coming into the lens as well. And you saw that in one of the images that I was sharing there. Right, so this kind of hazy stuff is by using the version 3 fog filter there, which is really cool. Yeah. I think that's it. I think that was the longitude and latitude sunlight angle. Yeah, so that shows you again on this compass here. It shows you the angle that the sun is going to be at a certain time of year based on the long and lat. Super nerdy, but actually pretty cool. Yeah. So yeah, if there's any questions about that, or about anything about this, I think I haven't really shown you how to use it. I've just kind of gone over some of the assets and changes and updates and what can be done with it. If anybody's interested, I think somebody said, "Oh, you don't, do you share any setups in the community?" If people are interested in kind of learning more about this, I'm happy, in a future stream to kind of build some lighting setups and kind of show you what we're looking for and how to actually use it, right? Because that's a whole example of or a whole video in its own right, of actually showing you how to adjust all this and the modifiers and the angles, and because some of them have got barn doors that you can channel in and add diffusion. There's loads and loads that you can do with it. Really, all I've done at the moment is kind of cover what can be done, what I use it for, and just covering some of the benefits for version 3. Yeah. If anybody's got any questions, far away. I'm just going to pop this in chat for you guys to have a look at. Like I said, I would say we're going to be here in the middle. If you're like, I want everything. I honestly think that this is great value. This is euros as well. Remember, I think this is a German company. I think if this was made in if this was made in the US, I think this piece of software would be 5 times the price. If I'm being honest, I think you get an absolute ton of tools in here for not much, in my opinion. If I just go to new project a second, I just click on this, you might see the stream lag now, but we haven't even touched on the cinema outside date, actual sets, right, and all the assets that comes with that, right? We haven't even touched on any of building all of these things, right? You got cars, gym, trees, trash cans, just like windows, like all this, building stuff like this. I actually work in a studio like that. That's actually perfect, huh? We got massive buildings, all that, huge amount of stuff here. Even got this New York. Let's just try a new one here a second. New project. Discard. How is it? If I double click that. Oh, it puts the loft in there. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Huh. Let's get a light in there. Okay, yeah. And then just, again, you can change your F numbers up here, 1.4, boom, let's see what we got. Yeah. Let's drag the focal point onto our fellow there, maybe not. Oh, digital camera, yeah, okay. Yeah, like I said, I haven't even touched the outside bit yet. As you guys know, I don't tend to shoot outside. I was playing around with bringing in like a sunset thing here for like a beach shoot that I was kind of doing. I need to, because like this was the kind of the setup, and I was kind of bringing in these backgrounds that I could kind of bring into the background of the set. I was kind of playing around with it again. I think there's a huge amount of scope there. Heads up, if you do not have permission to shoot in a hotel, when you go in, put your gear in a suitcase so they think you are staying over, not shooting in the room. Yeah, that's true, Andre. Yeah, if you're doing it like that, I will say on that note that I tend to do it legit, and I tend to just if I'm doing a hotel, they will usually rent you the room, as dodgy as it sounds, right? But come on. For a few hours in the afternoon, which is way cheaper than buying it for an entire night. And, most of them are kind of cool with that. Up to you as to how you ask that question. If you go, guys, any chance I could just rent it for a few hours this afternoon? Because it's usually empty, right? Usually empty. So, yeah, but that's a good point, Andre. Yeah, and that's smart to hide your stuff in the suitcase and that sort of thing. Yeah. As a team of people walking behind you, yeah. C-stands in a surfboard case. True. I like that. I've certainly used golf bags before. Yeah, I've certainly used golf bags before with the covers on them. Yeah. It is Germany. Yeah, nice. Yeah. Very useful bit of software. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, no worries, man. No worries. I get the feeling Photo Voki in here is something to do with with Set.a.light 3D. Some of the questions and prompts have been very poignant. So thank you, Photovoki, for jumping in. Yeah. If you are anything to do with them, is there a particular route that you would recommend people go to purchase this? Yeah, or a link or a code that people can use, then by all means, let us know. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, any questions on that, let me know. But like I said, I use that on every shoot without fail. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Right. Let's have a look at the images you guys have been shooting. The stream's going long, so the dog's getting teasy, so let's have a look at what you guys. Let's give this a quick refresh and see what you guys have been up to. In the alpha tester. Ah, okay. Okay, nice. Okay. So you've been using it even longer than I have. Okay. So what we got? Let's have a look. All comments here. Okay, Christian is at the top here. Let's see what we got. That is very bright and colourful, I'll give you that. Model had a couple of vibrant colour outfits, so I placed her in front of a dark grey background. Yeah. Then 3 strobes, a softbox with blue, red and green gel filters. Yeah, white object model. Not satisfied. I turned on the fog machine. Yeah, obviously the fog and stuff makes a huge difference with coloured lights, right? I mean, because it'd be very difficult to kind of see these colours on a grey background, especially if they're pointing back at the model as well. Then yeah, like the smoke helps so much with that. Yeah, yeah. I didn't even know about sharing images. Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, if you Eric, if you pop it in, let me just move this. Yeah, if you pop it in the share a shoot here, we can take a look. You don't need to do it now, but you know, in the future, we do it every stream. So yeah, check it out. Yeah, this is cool. Obviously, with like certain colors, you've got to be careful about kind of blowing out the colors on them a little bit when they're too bright, right? So I would just say, so like here on the face with the red, we kind of lose kind of data and integrity in the colors when it's so bright like that, right? So I would, if you're in this situation again, and like here, maybe this was a white light down here, but we can see we've kind of clipped all the colors and stuff here, and that can happen when multiple colors land on top of one another in the same space, right? So I would say in the future, you know, don't be afraid to kind of turn down these colors and see if it looks better. Like turn it down a stop, maybe, you know, even more than that, and see what the colors look like. Because sometimes those rich, strong colors, ironically, come out when you turn the power of the gels down. So, you know, something to think about. But in terms of a brightly colored shot with a brightly colored outfit, I think it looks cool. Yeah, I think it's great. Yeah, very cool. Yeah. It's got one from Vlad here. Older photo, looking good, looking very, very dapper. I like it. Older photo, but I'm sure it fits the theme here. Edited with my new Lightroom workflow, and I'm super happy with the amount of color density I can get now. I have my files before and after below. Oh, nice. Okay, let's have a look. Great shot. Really cool. Yeah, I like this kind of highlight as well here, echoed from the front. A new workflow focuses on decoupling the tone curve from the saturation shift that normally happens when we add something like an S-curve to our images. And here I am combining that with a linear camera profile to get this color-rich but also clean-looking final edit in just a few minutes. So I know Vlad's been here in the stream for a while, and many of you are familiar with Vlad's work and what he does. He does a lot of self-portraits, and he's really specializing in getting into the nitty gritty of what you can do in Lightroom. So he hasn't touched Photoshop in forever. He does everything that he does in Lightroom. He shared a video that he made with me the other day, which was kind of 5 ways of introducing saturation into an image. And that may seem a little bit obvious, or like, oh, okay, yeah, just pumping up the brightness of a color or something like that. But you actually get different types of colors or different types of effects by introducing different, by using different ways of saturating different colors. Vlad, if you're still here, feel free to pop that link in the chat, and people can take a look if you're interested. It's not a long video, but it's definitely worth checking out. Yeah. I'm interested in seeing this a little bit further, because I'll be honest, I'm not fully up to speed on what you're doing with these ones here. This S-curve, this S-curve here with the camera profile. So I think you mentioned you were working on a video or something in more detail. So I'll wait until you've done that. But I mean, the colors look great, right? Colors look great. Yeah. Yeah, no, and again, like clean, nothing clipping there on the skin. Yeah, nice. Yeah. I'm just looking at the shadows and stuff here. Yeah. Vlad's put it in the chat there. So yeah, take a look. Yeah. Shot from Tony, man from down under. Godox RS60R. Which one is that? Like with dome attachment. Oh, it's the Coke cans. Yeah, when you say that, Tony, when you say that. Hey, I will say one thing. I know I dogpiled on that Godox panel last week, but they did call it light wafer. I was like, finally, Godox are starting to give things names rather than just a barcode. Yeah. So Godox RS60 with the dome attachment, which is like just basically a little diffuser, soften the light with another Gobo projector, slightly defocused. That's good stuff, man. That's good stuff. Considering those lights, if you're not aware, literally are the size of Coke cans, and so like it's very easy to carry. I mean, you could carry one of these in your pocket, right? So if you are somebody who shoots on locations or moves around a lot, like you could just throw 2 or 3 of these, 4 of these, ideally a little bit pricey, but 4 of them in a rucksack, you can do so much with them. I reviewed them I think last year, really impressed. Yeah, so this is great, Tony. This is great. Yeah, really cool. I will say that Gobo looks really good. It doesn't look fake, and what I mean by that is sometimes I see people using Gobos and it's like, that is not a window, that is an actual Gobo. Yeah. Dogger, I know, bless him. Yeah, he's been lying underneath the desk for 3 hours or something, so he's bored. Yeah. It's a bit of a long explanation about the S-curve. Will make you oversaturate colours really fast. Okay. I mean, yeah. But there's that slider underneath the tone curve. Oh, there is. Okay. Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. Okay, I'll have a look. Yeah. So Eric says, I have one of those RS60 lights, very powerful light. It's great, yeah. And the little lens that it comes with, really, really good. And like I said, the previous week's article review of Godox light aside, like Godox are really good at making those little lenses that go on the front of their lights, because they spread the light beautifully. Yeah. Oh, we've got Robin shot here as well. We come full circle. Robin's patiently been waiting for 3 hours. So this is really cool. We brought this up at the start of the stream just because I couldn't control myself because of this very cool styling and lighting, all that sort of stuff. And I think this looks great. I respect the fact that you've kept the colors here pretty muted, Robin. I know that because in the BTS, I know that they're not muted. So I think you've made a conscious decision to keep them muted like that. And I kind of respect that. And the reason I say that is because I always have the intention of doing it, of going for a more muted style. And then I always just kind of give in and go, oh yeah, but what if it was like super colorful? I just always don't. So I kind of respect the fact that you've gone for more of a subtle color to it. Why is that important? Well, it's important because my lighting dominates everything that I photograph, right? So if I'm photographing a person or a portrait or a product, like the bold colored lighting dominates that product or person, right? And it becomes the image. what's really nice about character portraits like this, which is this person is playing a character, as it were. The lighting is not dominating the character, right? When these colors are here, we can see that there's orange back here and we have the teals, but it's kind of that Blade Runner pastel tone, like the OG Blade Runner pastel tones, and now the colors are not kind of dominating the subject anymore. So I do respect that, because it's something that I fail at. Like I said, I'm a very selfish artist. Just go all in and just go, like your profile picture there, right? Yeah. So yeah, I like this a lot. I like the like the slice of light is very perfect for this. I think I'm looking at the height of that light behind. We know that it's up nice and high, which is cool. We're getting color on top of the shoulder. Yeah, it's up there as well. It's nice. It's good. Like nothing is drawing us away from it at all. Yeah, I think this is looking good. Yeah. In shots like this, it would have been interesting to see like a longer lens on shots, because this is a very cinematic shot, right? And the reason I say that is because she's obviously playing a character, right? It feels like a character from a movie and that sort of stuff, and we're doing the movie poses and that sort of thing. So don't be afraid to kind of lean into that a little bit. Longer lens, maybe shoot some landscapes. And you mentioned about there being movement in the shot. I would kind of just let it happen. I don't think I have the hard drive plugged in, but I can try and plug it in. Let me see if this is the one. I'll show you what I mean as an example. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Yeah. One of these. Nope. Well, here you go. Okay. So it's like some of these are shot at a 15th of a second, right? And you're just kind of leaning into that motion. The reason I'm bringing it up is because this is only something that's possible with LEDs now, right? So, maybe have, I don't know, you had, the smoke and that sort of stuff, but maybe have a looking away from camera, because remember, if it's cinematic, they never look to camera, right? And then just kind of allow this movement to kind of add that extra energy to the shot. Now, I know it's counterindicative to what we would normally do as still shooters, right? But it's kind of cool. I think just let it go a little bit. You don't have to shoot the whole shoot like it, but just kind of play with it, because LEDs is the only way that we can do this. We could not do this 15th of a second shoot with flash. Just not possible. You can set the camera to 15th of a second, but it's still going to be frozen at 4,000th. Right? So this allows for this kind of energy and motion to be brought into the frame that is just not possible with flash, right? So again here, right? Just kind of just letting that movement just give you a little bit more energy to the shot. Just something to think about and play with next time you're kind of doing something, very kind of dynamic and cinematic like this. Could be cool. Yeah, longer lens, and you'd be good to go. Yeah. I had a few color choices, but this one sort of just sang to me with a bit of stuff. Yeah, it's difficult to beat that teal and orange. It's difficult to beat, especially. And to be fair, it worked on that subject as well. Like the cyberpunk, it's very kind of almost that fluorescent tube green color that you've got going on there. Very reminiscent of the original Blade Runner. Yeah. Oh, Paul, this is looking a bit moody for you, mate. Nice. So this is from a shoot last Sunday. A little bit of haze in the room. Nice. Optical. So he's using haze as well. We can see it coming up here. Optical snoot from above for beam of light. Gridded strip camera left. Okay. Fill from red. 2 Neo 3s on grey background. That's a grey background. That's good, man. I thought it was a red background. You've done well there. Lens maybe Omni. I thought it was going to be the Omni. Yeah. Split diopter, image blur, BTS and comments. Oh, good lad. Love to see it. Yeah. Oh, cool. Okay. Nice. Those Neos are doing work, Paul. Yeah, good stuff, man. Good stuff. And that's spread pretty quickly, seeing that's just out of shot. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. So look, I love the idea, and I think the execution is done really well. Especially seeing as you turn in that grey background into, I was convinced. I thought it was a red background. So the only thing that I'm kind of really, as a bugbear is just this highlight on the nose, and just I think you could have afforded to bring that face up, rather than just straight up, but angle it over. So bring it up and then just let this plane of light hit this here rather than just the tip of the nose. And I think that face would have just popped then. And maybe you've got some other shots like that, but I think with that very strong light from above, and this is pretty moody for you, mate. Normally we just get grey background stuff. This is good. It's good stuff. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, good choice with the haze as well. Always a little bit of haze. Can't beat it. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, I threw an image in there. Oh, let's have a quick look before we sign off, and I'll get my dinner. Let's have a look. We got the stragglers. Oh, Eric there. Let's have a look. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, this is one from those crazy edits I was talking about earlier in the stream. I usually do one edit for each of the shoot high school senior. Oh, wow. Damn. Yeah, I usually do one edit like this for each of my high school senior clients. That's crazy, man. I bet that's super popular. Yeah. And if you don't mind me asking, is this kind of AI generated background there with that? That's cool. Yeah, that's cool. Works well as well. I think, the lighting and stuff works well. You got the blue gel in here matching the blue in the background. Now you've done well to tie that together. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, I like it. Good. Okay. Yeah, that's cool, man. That's cool. Yeah, I bet the kids love that. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Yeah. She was a brand new model, blown away with the shots. This is Paul talking about his red girl down here. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, she was a brand new model. If you say so, mate. If you say so. Is that what she said to you? She's a brand new model. I don't know. It doesn't look like that's She looks great. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah. I mean, and yeah, I bet she was happy, especially if this is like one of her first shoots. Yeah, but because normally she probably just gets white background, or somebody opens the curtain and turns it black and white, right? No shade, but they're cool, man. That's cool. Yeah. I also like the fact with the red that you kind of lent into the warmer key light as opposed to it being a cold flash. We can talk about that another time, but something that I see people using the white light on the subject is kind of the same color, like 5600, regardless of what color gels they're using. I kind of like the fact that the light that's on her seems kind of warm to match the red as well. Whether that's done in post or not, fine, either way. But yeah, with it being like bright red behind and then it being a cold white light on her wouldn't have worked as well. So it's it's kind of nice that tying it together. Yeah. She's done one shoot 2 years ago. Oh, okay. So yeah, she's just getting back into it. Yeah. So Eric says, yeah, the background scene was AI generated, then nice added all the motion stuff in Photoshop. Okay, yeah, these pathing and stuff. Okay, cool. Yeah. Done one shoot 2 years ago. Used to build the background scenes up as an illustration before AI was there. Mate, it's crazy, right? It's crazy. Yeah. Wild times. I'll throw the original shot in there as a reply to the comment. Yeah, nice. It's got CTO and gel on it. Nice. Good thinking, Paul. And that's even extra marks for doing it in camera. Like, it's fine if you were to, bring the Kelvin down in post, but I mean, bonus points for actually doing it in camera, for sure. Yeah, good stuff. Good thinking. Right, let's just give this a quick refresh. I think somebody was going to pop some in there. Okay. I will check that later in the comments. That's just down here, Eric, but I think we're going to start signing off. Oh, there we go. Oh, that was the original shot. Fair play. Okay. Yeah, we got the blues in there as well. Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Holy shit, that floor is shiny. Oh, is that Perspex or something? Yeah, that's cool. Okay. Brilliant. All right, guys. Thank you to everybody that shared an image in the share shoot this week. Good stuff, as always. Beautiful, gorgeous colors. People being creative. Love to see it. Using gels, colored lights. Always a fan. Yeah, always a fan. Thank you, everybody who tuned in. We went a little bit long tonight, but we covered a lot. Virtual production, and then also Set.a.light 3D. There's a free trial of that software as well. So, I mean, just test it out, see if it works for you. Like I said, I use it all the time. You can see you can't see, but like these things. I got these thumbnails. Like these are all these are all just lighting ideas strewn about. So yeah, I use it all the time. Yeah, brilliant piece of software. All right, guys, been a pleasure. Let's keep talking whilst I find the tab to close the stream. There we go. Always a pleasure. Take care, stay creative, and try and do this again in a couple of weeks. All right, guys, bye for now.